tied at the end of 60 minutes regulation time. We will have a 5-minute sudden death overtime period, and I really think that will add a new wrinkle to the National Hockey League.
No question, Dan. I think that overtime has proven in the past in playoffs a very most exciting part, not only for the fans, but us people that work in the game as well. We had one experience last night already in the National Hockey League, whereby the Winnipeg Jets and the Detroit Red Wings played to a 6-6 tie in regulation time, went on in overtime the 5 minutes, and still were tied. That was the first overtime game this season.
You see the end of the ceremonies now, and the teams will take a little dash around to loosen up once again. I heard Al Troutwig mention the helmet thing. We'll get into that momentarily. Meanwhile, tonight in the National Hockey League other games, the Quebec Nordiques play the Bruins at Boston Garden. The Washington Capitals play the Flyers at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. And as the Canadiens do their warm-up laps around the rink, we mentioned that everybody I had heard of was going to wear a helmet, but I thought I saw Lafleur without a helmet, and he doesn't have one on. What's the story there?
Well, Guy has decided, he tried it again. He has tried a helmet over a course of years. But Serge Savard said that he can't make Guy wear one. Guy doesn't feel comfortable in it. He feels it takes away from his game. I don't believe that to be true, but even Serge said it's a lot in his head right now, but whatever makes Guy tick, that doesn't matter. What we need is production on the ice from him. If he doesn't feel comfortable with it, then he's not going to force him to wear it. Bob Gainey, however, has changed his mind and is wearing a helmet, and he has never wore one in the course of the National Hockey League years that he has played this game.
And Bob Gainey, one of the outstanding defensive forwards over his career in the NHL, is playing right now on the Montreal defense, mainly because of injuries to several blue liners, including Larry Robinson. Gainey at times did play a little bit of defense when Scotty Bowman was coaching this club, but mainly he's been a left winger. That's a pretty big adjustment to go from left wing back to defense. And there you see the unhelmeted Guy Lafleur.
He looks the same as always, Dan, just 1 year older than last year.
The Flower, a 50-goal scorer until the last couple of seasons, and they would like a big year out of Guy Lafleur here in Montreal. Ron Wicks is ready to drop the puck. Hope you enjoy another season of National Hockey League action on USA. I'm Dan Kelly. Gary Green alongside. Al Troutwig is your host. Al Albert is with us many nights through the winter. Hope you have a great season of watching NHL on USA, and here we go. And immediately it's Ken Morrow for the Stanley Cup champion Islanders. Firing a long one in. Walmsley handles that. And here is Bob Gainey clearing it into the corner to Steve Schutt. Digging in there after it is Dwayne Sutter. Now Morrow at the point. Fired it back of the net. Walmsley clearing it on the boards. Here's Morrow at the point. A shot, and that hits the skate of Jean Hamel, a newcomer to Montreal this year, and deflected wide. And now the Canadiens shoot it to the outer end of the rink. This is number 2, Mike McEwen. Flips it to Dwayne Sutter. Couldn't get it out of the zone, but now McEwen does lug it to center ice. Ahead on right wing to Bob Bourne. Back to Brent Sutter, number 21, and his shot wide of the goal. Keith Acton, headman to Lafleur. Too far for him, and Morrow takes over. And now McEwen shoots it near the Montreal line. This is Bob Gainey playing on defense tonight. To Mark Napier, number 31. Napier around the defense, in on goal. Missed the save, rebound, and Steve Schutt banned on it as we get the first scoring chance of the game. Back come the Islanders. Wayne Sutter moving in. His shot a weak one. Walmsley grabbed it and held on. Great move by Mark Napier to almost score for Montreal.
Bob Barry's got to be pretty happy with Mark Napier. He was their leading goal scorer last year with 40. Bob Barry's a pretty happy guy just to be back behind that bench this year. Take a look. Here's the save coming up. Napier doing an excellent job. Watch Schutt. The puck's right there for him. Billy Smith is down. All he's got to do is get it up and over. Great defensive effort by Brian Trottier coming back to help out.
From the faceoff, the puck comes to center ice. This is Gord Lane for New York to Mike Bossy, number 22. He's checked by Chabot for Montreal, a newcomer to the Canadiens. And now it is Dennis Potvin for the Islanders to Bossy. Bossy leads the Islander rush. Moving in, a shot wide. Loose at the side of the goal. The Islanders center it. Walmsley comes diving out, grabbed it and held onto it, and a stop and play. For our local systems, we'll pause now. The National Hockey League is coming to you on the USA Cable Network.
Next Thursday night, we'll be at Madison Square Garden in New York City as the Rangers and the Washington Capitals go at it in a Patrick Division clash. The Rangers, with new faces such as Big Willie Hubert, Mark Osborne, Mike Blaisdell, and Pierre LaRouche, will be looking to overtake the Caps, who finished ahead of them in last season's standings and who were the NHL's best team in the preseason. Game time is set for 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the official network of the National Hockey League, USA.
Face-off coming up in the Montreal zone. 18 minutes, 25 seconds left in the opening period. Pierre Mondeau against Trottier. Trottier gets the drive, and here's Mario Tremblay for Montreal with a long, low shot. Just wide of the target. Now from the point, Picard shot cleared away by Smith. Here's Dennis Potvin, the Auditor captain. Moves it to Bossy. Into the center ice area. The pass to Keller, intercepted. Back comes Tremblay. Mario Tremblay with a drive, and sliding across was Gord Lane to block that. Now Bossy for New York. Centers one. Nobody could get a stick on it. Matt Naslund clears to Mario Tremblay. Now it's center ice to Pierre Mondeau, who flipped it in, and Gord Lane has it for New York. That's center to Trottier, and that's called back on a two-line offside pass.
This game is authorized under television rights granted by the National Hockey League and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or other use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the National Hockey League is strictly prohibited.
You did such a good job on that last year, they've retained your contract, huh?
Yes, it was tough negotiations, Dan, but I was able to get that in there.
Here's play underway. The Islanders with control. Greg Gilbert to Stefan Persson into the center ice area to Tonelli. Now to Clark Gillies, who shot it in. Cleared away. Now Gillies into the corner. Battles with Wickenheiser. Here's John Tonelli. Tonelli centers to Gillies. A shot off the goal post. Gillies with a good close-in try. And Montreal come back. Another newcomer, number 8, Kozlowski, shoots it in for the Canadiens. Here's Greg Kozlowski behind the net. Back to Bob Gainey, the Montreal captain and a defenseman in the start of this season. Couldn't hold it in. Canadiens shoot it out. Tonelli pokes it back in for New York. And now Delorme works it to Gainey. Shot into the center ice area, and then the play is called back on a delayed offside. Bob Gainey, for years, the Frank Selke Trophy winner, is the best defensive forward, and tonight playing defense.
It's got to be difficult for him going back and playing a defensive position, especially to start the season off. The Canadiens have had some injuries to their blue line. Dan mentioned Robinson, Bill Root, Rick Green. Tough way to start off.
Puck is shot in by New York. Back for Montreal. Kent Carlson, another of the newcomers, number 2. He fires it to center ice, and Kenny Morrow for New York has it. Loses to Keith Acton. Acton, number 12, trying to go around McEwen. Acton couldn't center it. McEwen comes up with the puck and works it to Dwayne Sutter. Now to Bob Nystrom, number 23. Nystrom for the Islanders. Leaves it for Ken Morrow. He shot it in. Bad hop off the boards, hit the side of the net. Carlson cleared it for Montreal. Here's Acton to Lafleur. Number 10, Guy Lafleur shoots one. Glove save by Smith. Around on the board, Dwayne Sutter for New York. Back to Ken Morrow. We're approaching the 4-minute mark in this game. No score. Here's Morrow to McEwen. Mike McEwen now ahead to Nystrom. The Islanders move in. A drop pass to Dwayne Sutter, closing in. His shot high off the glass. Brent Sutter for New York. In on the boards to Nystrom. Now to Gilbert, out in front to Brent Sutter. It went right through his legs and all the way back into the New York zone. Back after it is Gord Lane. Lane winding it around on the boards to Dennis Potvin. Now ahead to Bob Bourne, number 14. Bourne with a long shot wide. Moving in, Butch Goring couldn't control it. Here's a break pass for Mark Napier in the clear. Napier shoots wide by a couple of feet. Napier may have outguessed himself there.
I think so, Dan. Billy Smith played him all the way there, but Napier tried to maybe make one too many moves.
Here's John Chabot, number 29 for Montreal. Cleared it in, but on to Butch Goring's stick, and Goring comes back to Bourne. Bob Bourne checked by Delorme, number 27. Delorme and Bourne battle. In comes Goring. Delorme just trying to hold it there. Now knocks it loose, but Bossy gets it for New York. Chabot, number 29, tying him up. Here is Butch Goring. Goring trying to center. Goring gives it to Dennis Potvin. Shot behind the net, and Robert Picard takes over for Montreal. To Chabot at center ice, number 29, Potvin takes over for New York. Number 5, the Islander captain, Potvin to Bossy. Bossy moving in, stops on a dime, lets the shot go. Picard blocked that. Back come Montreal, the Swedish import. Naslund checked by Trottier, and there you see Trottier's defensive ability again. Now he's on offense. Back to Pearson, a shot. Walmsley got a piece of that. Held in by Langevin for New York. Now the Canadiens break away. A flip pass to Naslund. Out of the net, Smith cleared it, loses his goal stick, and Trottier beats Mike Bossy. Bossy sliding it in for Anders Keller. He couldn't get it, and the Canadiens, Jean Hamel, cleared it on the board. Now Bob Gainey back to pick it up. Here's Gainey, number 23. Gainey moving in on left wing. His shot blocked by Stefan Pearson. Naslund at the point had a shot blocked by Pearson. Now to Greg Gilbert. Naslund checks him, and Gainey gives it over to Jean Hamel. Picked up by Montreal from Quebec on the waiver draft, and the Canadiens now dump it in. Dave Langevin for the Stanley Cup champion Islanders. To Gillies. That's broken up, and now as Carlson carries in, the play is offside at the Islander blue line. 13:08 left in the first period, and there's no score in Montreal. There's a long one in. This is Craig Ludwig for Montreal. Tried to flip it. Mark Gillies knocked it down. He's checked. And Montreal on the attack, led by number 20, Mark Hunter. To Kozlowski, number 8. Back to Hunter. Cleared in behind the net. Kozlowski can't clear it as Smith knocked it away. And now the puck held in against the boards in behind the Islander goal.
This line of Tonelli, Gilbert, and Gillies were definitely very strong this year. Here we take a look at number 8, Greg Kozlowski. He played in Nova Scotia last year, signed with the Montreal Canadiens free agent back in July '81. Scored an amazing 46 goals, 42 assists last year. Certainly earned his way, at least for a trial period here with the Montreal Canadiens.
He's a native of Kindersley, Saskatchewan, and here he is. Kozlowski fell down, and, well, maybe he was knocked down because the Islanders are going to get a penalty. Here's a shot from the point, blocked by Morrow. And as he does, now play is called. And a penalty coming up against New York. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL is coming your way on the USA Network.
This weekend, USA Network continues following the best in tennis. The stop is Sea Pines Plantation in Hilton Head, South Carolina. The event is the DuPont.
If you're thinking of buying a new car, stop and start thinking about a new...
Talk to IDS.
IDS?
My IDS representative and you can set up a financial plan to help you reach all of your goals, including retirement.
An IDS financial plan. Excellent idea.
After a poor pass by Lafleur, and the Islanders score a short-handed goal.
You don't too often see Guy Lafleur give up the puck that easily, but the wrong man he gave it up to. Trottier working as hard as usual, killing penalties. Take a look at it. Trottier just consistent and persistent as always. Put it right in behind Walmsley. Short-handed goal for the Islanders.
1-0 New York lead. Trottier will get an unassisted goal as he stole it from Lafleur and Ludwig, the point man. Now Gord Lane for New York trying to clear it. Ludwig at the point, holding it in, shot it behind the net. Mondeau is there, but Dennis Potvin gets it for New York and shoots at the length of the ice. Here's Lafleur, number 10, back to get it. Montreal with the man advantage. Lafleur being very cautious this time. Gives it to Ludwig. Back to Lafleur. Guy Lafleur speeds to center. Shoots it off the boards into the Islanders' zone. The Islanders try and clear it. And do. And it's picked up by Bourne. A 2-on-1 break. Only Lafleur back. Bourne in front to Keller. And he just missed. Tipping it in. Anders Keller drops it back. Now Keith Acton takes over for Montreal. Acton. Back to Picard at the point. Shooting, and that deflects just wide as it hit a skate in front of the net. Stepan Pearson picks an opening and fires it away.
These Islanders were the best penalty killers in the National Hockey League last year. 83.4%. They're tough at any time on the ice.
So fast Lafleur and the Canadiens. They've already scored a shorthanded goal. Montreal on the attack right now. Acton trying to get it to Ryan Walter. Now to Picard at the point. Over to Delorme. Langevin blocks that. Picard with a drive, and that hit Pearson and deflects up over the glass and into the crowd, and we'll have a face-off in the New York end of the rink. I think we saw a perfect illustration of Trottier earlier in this game, Gary. He made a big defensive play, back-checking, and then turned right around and went right back on offense.
Perfect description of him. Plays both end zones of the rink. He is the leader. Many say he is one of the finest centermen in the National Hockey League. Nothing against Wayne Gretzky, but Trottier has certainly dominated. Defensively, especially as a center iceman in this league.
Face-off coming up to the right of Billy Smith. 5 seconds left in the penalty to Greg Gilbert of New York. Pierre Mondeau got the draw, but immediately Stepan Pearson cleared it the length of the ice. Going back to get it is Delorme. Gilbert Delorme. The Islanders are now back at full strength. Delorme just standing there, trying to make a play. Now moves it over onto left wing to Picard. He got up to Naslund, who can't get it out of the zone. Brent Sutter held it into Nystrom. Bob Nystrom bumped by Delorme. Here's Nystrom. Centered it, went right through the goal crease. Now Dwayne Sutter got it around onto the boards, and Mario Tremblay for Montreal to Pierre Mondeau. A 2-on-1 break. Naslund trailing. Backhand shot by Mondeau. Smith the save. Then Naslund to poke at it, and Billy Smith held on to it. And the faceoff will be in the Islander zone, so a close call there for Montreal.
I thought that puck was going in this time. Mondeau with a good lead, almost a pass, but it ended up going right to Billy Smith. But look at that rebound. Naslund had a perfect opportunity. Smith was down, but he just couldn't get enough good wood on it. As a result, just kind of a weak drive right back into Billy Smith.
You remember how brilliant Smith was last year in the playoffs. Conn Smythe Trophy winner.
Very difficult to forget him, isn't it?
Particularly if you're Gretzky and Anderson and a couple of the Oilers that accused him of chopping their ankles a little bit.
Well, Battling Billy, I'm sure, will be back to his same tactics this year.
Here's a shot by Montreal right from the faceoff by Hamel, and a glove save by Billy Smith. The National Hockey League is coming to you coast to coast on USA. We'll be right back.
Thursday, USA shoots you into an East Coast battle on Special Edition NHL. The rags-to-riches Washington Capitals will test the new-look New York Ranger defense. Check out USA's Special Edition NHL next Thursday, live at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Our coverage will not be seen in the New York and Washington area.
Saturday on Night Flight, sit in with Graham Nash and the Hollies, plus Donnie Iris in concert, all on Night Flight at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on USA, Saturday.
There you see Bob Berry, the Montreal coach, his third year here, talking to Lafleur and Shutt, a pair of the veterans on this Montreal club. 1-0 Islanders lead. Here's Dave Langevin shooting one around on the boards from the faceoff. Kozlowski knocks it down for Montreal. Pearson ties him up, and now Langevin for New York flips it to center ice. Bob Gainey back to get it. Shot it near the New York line. This is Stepan Pearson, number 7. Pearson ran into his teammate Brent Sutter, and Langevin had to clear it quickly to center ice. Here's Bob Gainey trying to get something going for Montreal. Shoots it in. Brent Sutter drops it to Dave Langevin. Quickly shoots it right back to center. And Hamel has it there. He fired it in for Montreal. And as Langevin goes back to play the puck, icing call against the Montreal Canadiens.
Dave Langevin, they call him Bam Bam, and no wonder. The body checks that this guy throws out sometimes during the course of the year on a fairly regular basis, I should say. A very strong defensive-minded defenseman for the New York Islanders, paired up most of the time with Stephen Pearson.
Langevin out of the University of Minnesota Duluth, a native of St. Paul, Minnesota. Here are the Islanders getting it to Ken Morrow. Morrow fires it off the board to the side of the goal, and it's grabbed by Rick Wamsley. And he held on to it, and we'll have another face-off in the Montreal zone. There you look at Rick Wamsley. A little bit of a different design in his face mask.
I think you may see a few superstitious moves by the Montreal Canadiens after their downfall in playoffs over the course of the last couple of years. I'm sure Wamsley perhaps had that in mind as well.
Face-off coming up as the Montreal rookie number 29, John Chabot, was going to face off with Trottier. Trottier tossed out of there. And Mike Bossy takes the draw. Canadians get it, and Kent Carlson tipped it to center ice. Morrow gives it to Mike Bossy. Back to Ken Morrow. Morrow cleared it, held in by Chabot, number 29, centered to Napier. Napier got it in front, nobody there. And it is now taken by Bossy. He drops it to Ken Morrow. Around on left wing to Anders Keller. Greg Ludwig shoots it in for Chabot, number 29. To Ryan Walter. Morrow ties him up. And Smith cleared it around in the boards to Trottier. He fired it over onto the other wing to Anders Keller. Keller couldn't get it by Ludwig. Smith handles his shot and throws it off from right wing side to Bossy. And Morrow quickly flips it down the ice. Hustling back number 17, Ludwig. And an icing call against the Islanders. Let's go to Al Troutwig for an update on other NHL action.
Dan, they're playing 2 games tonight in the National Hockey League at Boston Garden. The Boston Bruins lead the Quebec Nordiques 1-0 in the first period. We'll update you on Washington at Philadelphia when we get a score.
1-0 is the score here. A shorthanded goal by Brian Trottier, the only goal of this period. 7:42 of the time. Game when Greg Gilbert of the Islanders was serving a penalty. And the teams have played a very cautious brand of hockey here in the first period.
That they have, Dan. I think that we've had some good scoring opportunities. Finishing off hasn't exactly been great. Schutt's had a couple of good chances. Napier, Tonelli, Pearson haven't been able to put it in the net, except for Mr. Trottier on a shorthanded occasion.
And it took him 2 tries to put it in. Here's Picard from the point with a shot. Smith stopped it as it bounced off the backboards. The shot had been wide of the goal. Smith came sprawling out to cover up on it. And we'll have a face-off to the right of Billy Smith and the New York Islanders. Here's the look at the play.
Well, Robert Picard definitely has a good hard shot from the point area. Watch Billy Smith play that puck off the backboards. He wasn't going to take any chances. Keith Acton from the Canadiens right there, ready to pounce on that rebound. But Smitty doesn't give up too much.
It is Acton against Wayne Merrick for this face-off in the New York end. Islanders lead at Montreal 1-0. On the face-off, here's Lafleur. Shoots! Just off the tip of Smith's skate and into the corner. Delorme shot it back of the net. Now it is Pinelli to Clark Gillies. Gillies dumps it in. Wansley setting it up for Robert Picard. He quickly moved it on right wing to Gilbert Delorme. Head manning it to Keith Acton. 3-on-2 Montreal break. Acton to Schutt. Shoots one right on. And Smith made a body save and then held on to it. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The National Hockey League is coming your way on USA.
Serge Savard has his name inscribed on 8 Stanley Cup divisions, winners with the Montreal Canadiens. That is only part of his career, and during that career he had to negotiate with a lot of different people for a lot of different contracts. Well, now he is the man in charge, the managing director or general manager, if you will, of the Montreal Canadiens. He'll be my guest at the end of the first period. And then Gary Green will join me. We'll talk about some of the deals that have been made most recently in the National Hockey League, all at the end of the first period. Join us.
A face-off coming up to the right of the New York Islander goal. Pierre Mondeau centering a line for Montreal with Naslund and Tremblay on the wings. They're out against Goring, Bossy, and Bourne. Here is Hamel for Montreal. At the point, a backhand shot. And Smith stops that, and here's Butch Goring firing one to Bossy. Mike Bossy into Bourne. Bob Bourne drops it to Bossy, but Mario Tremblay back-checking broke it up. Here's Dave Langevin at the Islander blue line. He's checked, and here is a chance for Mondeau. In on goal. Smith sprawled and outgussed Mondeau. Another shot, and it's cleared away by the Islanders. Pearson behind the goal. Flips it over onto the board. Tremblay hammers Langevin in against the boards, but Bourne was able to shoot it to center. Bob Gainey flips it back in for Montreal. Pearson as Tremblay comes charging in. Tremblay playing very aggressively. And Goring fires it to center for Montreal. Gainey has to hustle back to beat Bossy to the puck. Now to Kozlowski. He couldn't control it, and Morrow gives it to McEwen. Back to Ken Morrow. Morrow shot it right onto the stick of Hamel. He feeds it back on right wing, and the Canadiens attack. Circling the goal and carrying it on to Mark Hunter. And Smith was able to grab that. It was underneath him. He didn't know where it was. But it was right underneath him and dangerously close to that goal line.
Mark Hunter thought the puck was in. Billy Smith, as you said, Dan, he did not know. He was just hoping, I think, saying a little prayer that perhaps that puck was underneath of him. And as we see, when he went down, he wasn't exactly looking at it. He looked all around him, behind him, to see whether it's in the net. But Billy Smith still has a little bit of luck going for him, along with all the great talent that he possesses, and the puck indeed was underneath of him.
Close call there for the Canadiens. The shots on goal, by the way, favor Montreal in this period. 9-8 at this point. 6:11 left in period one. And it's 1-0. And now Hunter gets into it with the Islander player Dwayne Sutter right from the faceoff. And they'll go to the penalty box. And a stoppage in play. And penalties on the play. You're watching the NHL on USA.
Introducing the new front-wheel drive Toyota Camry. It does not have a fireplace, but it does have living room, elbow room, headroom, tow room, family room. For families who are a size above average. For families who like to spread out. There's lots of feet for your feet. Lots of living room for anyone. And a tough new engine with quick pickup and great mileage. The new Toyota Camry. Not just the family car. The family Camry.
Oh, what a feeling, Camry.
Well, let's take a look at Mark Hunter, first of all, sitting in that penalty box. Meanwhile, Dwayne Sutter sitting in exactly the same box, except on the Islander side. Here's how it started. It was difficult. Just watch closely. I think you'll see that perhaps Dwayne Sutter gave a little bit of an elbow to Hunter. Hunter retaliated right away. Really wasn't much reason for that to begin in the first place. The puck had not even been dropped.
So Mark Hunter and Dwayne Sutter in the penalty box. Face-off coming up to the right of the Islander goal. Wickenheiser got the draw. Morrow shot it back to the net, and Mike McEwen couldn't get it by Greg Kozlowski, number 8. Back to number 2, Kent Carlson, another of the newcomers on Montreal. Now it's Morrow trying to shoot it out, and we'll get more penalties here. As Ron Wick steps in, Kozlowski will go, and so will Brent Sutter. And let's go to Al Trumwick.
Garden we go, Dan, where the Bruins now lead the Quebec Nordiques 2-0 in the first period. Ray Bourque has both Bruin goals. And one quick note, Dwayne Sutter in the penalty box. He's playing with a broken nose and a protective shield. It is broken for the 8th time. Mario Marois did the honors Tuesday night in Quebec City.
There you see the newest people in the penalty box. Kozlowski, the newcomer from Kindersley, Saskatchewan for Montreal, and Brent Sutter. And here's how they went to the penalty box.
Well, it just happened right after Brent's brother Dwayne ended up in the box, and now Ron Wick having to hand out a couple of more. This time, double minors have been handed out.
couldn't help but think when I saw Mark Hunter and Dwayne Sutter go to the penalty box, you could have a pretty good tag team match between the Sutter family and the Hunter family, couldn't you?
You certainly could, and I wouldn't want to bet on the outcome, Dan.
I think I'd pay to see it. Here's New York on the attack. Trottier trying to flip it through, and Keith Acton breaks that up. Each team 2 men short. 2-on-1 break for Montreal. Acton moving in off the crossbar with that shot. Acton did the right thing. He used Picard as the decoy and shot but hit the crossbar.
Well, Billy Smith hits that crossbar because it was with you tonight. Keith Acton feeling a little bit robbed, as he should feel right now. Take a look at Acton here as he crosses the blue line. He winds up with a good hard wrist shot. Billy Smith ducked, in fact. I don't think that he thought it was going as close to that crossbar as it ended up, but again, from another angle, Acton releasing a good hard wrist shot, and it hit that crossbar and bounced up and over the glass into the crowd.
Face off with each team 2 men short. Plenty of skating room right now. 3 aside, excluding goaltenders, and Lane gives it to Bob Bourne. Here's Bourne, a great skater, and he revels in this type of situation when there's so much skating room. He's jammed in against the boards by Gainey. Gainey and Bourne, and now breaking out is Montreal. This time it's Mondieu with Hamel on a 2-on-1, and this time the shot is blocked by Dennis Potvin up over the glass. Well, that's 2 2-on-1s that Montreal has had during this situation with each team 2 men short.
Mondieu, I think, a little upset with himself right now. He knew he had a 2-on-1 situation. He elected to shoot. I think he forgot, though, that he was up against one of the best defensemen in the National Hockey League, and Dennis Potvin. Potvin read him beautifully, got his stick just out there in time. He deflected that puck up and over. Pierre Mondieu, though, a terrific center iceman for this Canadian club. Interesting, Bob Berry has left that line, Mondieu, Naslund, and Tremblay together. They performed so consistently last year, he couldn't help but do so.
Ready for a face-off. Ludwig will take it for Montreal against Goring. Goring gets it to Smith, now to Ken Morrow. Morrow on right wing for Goring. Number 91, Butch Goring. Again, each team 2 men short, so there's plenty of skating room out there right now. Morrow to Goring. Broken up, and Ludwig knocks it down, cleared it outside the line. McEwen shot it back in. And now it's Kent Carlson for Montreal, a native of Concord, New Hampshire, out of the St. Lawrence University. Center to Naslund. Naslund flips it in front. Here's Ludwig after it. He couldn't get to it, and McEwen has it for New York. Mike McEwen couldn't get around Carlson, and Acton has it for the Canadiens. Number 12, Keith Acton, all by himself into the New York zone, shoots one right on. Smith makes the save. Third it to McEwen. He smartly moves it on left wing to Bourne. Here's Bourne with 1 man back. And Carlson, the rookie defenseman, took him out of the play. Acton has now Pawlowski and Brent Sutter are back on. Here's Acton in across the line. Knocked down on the play. A jam up on the boards, and it's held there. You see the 2 penalized players, Pawlowski and Brent Sutter, out of the penalty box. Mark Hunter and Dwayne Sutter are there because they received double minors when they went off, 1 for slashing and 1 for roughing. So they still have 1:31 left in their penalty.
Keith Acton put on quite a show out there with his skating speed. We see Sutter and Hunter still remaining, Dwayne Sutter, that is, still remaining in the penalty box along with Mark Hunter. 1 minute and 31 seconds remaining in their penalty. I was talking about Keith Acton, the way that he was able to fly. It's beautiful to watch the 2 teams when they've got a lot of skating room when they are on 3-on-3 situations.
Here's Bob Gainey at the point with a shot. Smith stops that. Pearson hammered in against the boards by Ryan Walter. And now the Editors, Bossy shoots it into the Montreal zone. Number 23 is Bob Gainey. Gainey drops it to Jean Hamel. Hamel working it on the boards to Walter. He was checked, and Bossy gives it to Trottier. Trottier and Bossy, the forwards in this situation for the Editors. Here's Bossy to Trotte. It's offside at the blue line. Those two have played together so long, Gary Green, they go together like ham and eggs.
They really have played well together, Dan. Trotte with 30 or more goals in his last 8 seasons. Bossy with 60 last year. They know where each other are. All times, it appears, out there on the ice. You wonder whether they can even actually hear each other. I'm sure that they do a lot of talking. When they go back on the bench, you oftentimes see them continually talking over their maneuvers out there on the ice. They really are a treat to watch.
Bossy has scored over 50 goals in every year he's been in the NHL. His worst year was 51. In his third year, last year he had 60. The year before that, 64. The year before that, 68. So he's a great hockey player. Here's Ryan Walter for Montreal over to Mark Napier. Napier moving in on right wing, cuts in from a bad angle, got it in front, tipped by Smith, and now Dennis Potvin breaks up. Potvin trying to go around Gilbert Delorme. Gives it to Clark Gillies, and Picard took Gillies out of the play. Now centered, and Lane has it. Lane for the Islanders. In front to Gillies. He's checked. Here's Sinelli to Gillies. A shot. Save. Another shot by Sinelli. This one went wide. John Sinelli centered off Potvin's skate. Now Dennis Potvin to Nystrom. Penalized players. Wayne Sutter and Hunter are back on. And then as the Islanders shoot it into the Montreal zone, the play goes offside. And we're down to 2 minutes and 4 seconds remaining here in period 1. There's Bob Berry. Interesting story, as you saw at the outset of our program. Fired by Montreal, and then when Serge Savard was hired as the general manager, he rehired Bob Berry as the coach. Berry formerly coached the Los Angeles Kings, where he also played for several seasons. And the guy they call Radar, Al Arbor, the Islander coach. 4 straight Stanley Cups. Only one team has ever won 5, and it's the team Arbor and his Islanders are playing tonight, the Canadiens. They won 5 in a row between 1955 and 60. And if the Islanders win this year, they would duplicate that tremendous feat. Brent Sutter now against Pierre Mondeau on a face-off. Naslund gets the draw back to the point to Ludwig, a shot block. And here's Brent Sutter, number 21, to Dwayne Sutter. Trying to flip it in front. Naslund cleared it for Montreal. Here is Bob Nystrom tying up Naslund. Now Nystrom in the corner. Gets it in front of the net. Islanders couldn't hold it in, and back comes Mario Tremblay, number 14, to Mondeau. Mondeau got it in front. Now Naslund to Mondeau, a centering pass. Tremblay just failed to tip it. Now from the point, a shot by Carlson. Smith the save, and he held on to it. Kent Carlson from that left point almost tied this game up. Carlson, big defenseman, number 3 draft choice in 1982 of the Canadiens out of St. Lawrence University. Let that shot go from the left point. Smith made the glove save. Carlson is a native, by the way, of Concord, New Hampshire. And there's the native of Perth, Ontario, Billy Smith, the Islander goaltender. We're down to 1:28 left in the period. By the way, in our upcoming intermission, you'll meet Serge Savard, the general manager of the Canadiens and the former great all-star defenseman with Montreal and late in his career with Winnipeg. As well, Gary Green joins Al Trutwick for our News in the NHL feature, so be with us at our intermission. Here's Trotte for New York. Got the center. Keith Acton broke that up. Now number 19, Trotte flipped it in, and Bob Gainey gets it. To Steve Shutt. Shutt to Acton. He flipped it in, and Dave Langevin takes over for New York and gives it to Stephon Pearson. We're in the last minute of the first period. Here's Mike Bossy. Long shot, big rebound. And Keller shot it wide on the rebound. Wansley was rather careless with the way he handled the rebound. Here's Steve Shutt with a long pass to Lafleur. Back is Dave Langevin. Shot around on the board. Now Gainey at the point, missed by about 3 or 4 feet. Here's Delorme shooting one. Shutt at the other side, poked it wide. Langevin trying to clear it. Delorme holding it in. That shot wide of the net. Bossy hammered in against the boards by Schutt. But the Islanders showed it to the Montreal end of the rink, and this is Bob Gainey. 20 seconds left in the period. Gainey got it to center. Gainey gets it back again. He flips it in, and Stefan Persson goes back for New York. To Clark Gillies. Couldn't clear it out. Here's Hunter. That shot goes wide. Now it's Greg Gilbert for New York. Cleared it to Gillies as the siren goes to end the first period here in Montreal. Shots on goal in the opening period favor Montreal by a margin of 11-10. Coming up in our intermission, you will meet the new general manager of the Canadiens. I think they call him the managing director. Serge Savard, the former great defenseman in the National Hockey League. He'll join Al Trautwig in our intermission. After one period of play here at the Forum in Montreal, the score, the Islanders 1, Montreal nothing. Our intermission coming right up.
This is the most common screwdriver used in America today. Come on, admit it. You've done this, haven't you? Oh, we don't blame you. A regular screwdriver can bring tears to your eyes. Fancy ones can be positively painful. But now there's Power Driver, a breakthrough in screwdriver design. Power Driver fits right on your drill. Slip in a screw and it locks in place. The screw can't fall out. Power it in fast and straight without cutting up the surface or yourself. It comes with interchangeable heads to fit most any type screw. Look at this, a depth dial built right in. Set it on number 1 and it leaves the screw raised. Use number 4 and the screw stops flush. And on number 7 it countersinks automatically. 8 different settings you can dial and the screw is released at the depth you select. It's foolproof, fast, and so simple to use. With tiny screws like these or this monster that would twist your wrist off the old way. Power Driver just powers it in. Even solid oak is a cinch for Power Driver, not like your old blister buster. In Formica, it socks up without scratching up the surface and even works on metal. There's more. In masonry block, it's sensational. No plug needed, no pilot hole to drill. Try that with your old screwdriver. Work above your head without breaking your back. No matter what the angle, it's the fastest, easiest way to drive in a screw, and it removes them just as quick. It comes with full instructions and our incredible 10-year guarantee, plus this bonus, a complete 7-piece nut driver set. Great for swings, bikes, toys, and cars, especially those tight spots. And there's still more. Here's Nail Driver, a brilliant tool idea. Drop a nail in here and drive it home with a simple push. Nail Driver works in corners where your hammer can't reach. Now fix paneling without pounding your thumb. There's hundreds of jobs for Nail Driver. You get Power Driver, Nail Driver, and a nut driver set, all for just $19.99. Order now. For COD and credit card orders, call 1-800-USA-1000 in Georgia 222-7272. Save the COD charges. Send $19.99 plus $3 shipping and handling to Power Driver. Box 49648 Atlanta. Demand for this fine quality 9-piece Power Driver set will be incredible, so order now.
We are back at the Forum in Montreal. One shorthanded goal, 7 minutes, 42 seconds into period 1 by Brian Trottier of the Islanders. And the Islanders lead the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 1-0. For so many years, the man sitting to my immediate right skated around the ice and had to negotiate with general managers or managing directors. Well, now he is the managing director of the Montreal Canadiens, and the players are going to have to come to him. Now, Serge Savard, before we begin, I just want to straighten the helmet story out. It was basically, I guess, misrepresented to a great many of us in that you had issued a ruling to the players that helmets would be worn, but that's not the story at all, is it?
Well, actually, it cannot be a rule because of the agreement we have with the Player Association, but I talked to the player that didn't wear a helmet. I had only 3 players, and I talked to them this summer, and I said I think it would be in the best interest of the club and of yourself to wear a helmet because I don't want any of my players to be another Eddie Kia. And they all say they got to try it, but they don't have to, and actually only Guy Lafleur don't wear it.
Serge Savard refers to Ed Key of the St. Louis Blues, who was injured last year. How do you find your new job? Difficult watching instead of playing?
Well, I wish the players would have spent the same amount of time that I used to spend with Sam Pollock when I signed a contract, which is about 5 minutes.
Now, you came into the studio and you said power play to me. What's that reaction?
Well, I was just joking. I just said, now you know why they said Montreal had problems on power play last year. They gave a goal.
You can't possibly judge the Canadiens after one period of play, but as far as this year's play compared to last year, what are the signs that you're looking for from this team before you are forced to make more changes?
Well, you know, we felt that we needed to be a little stronger at center, and if you can build a good defensive squad, and I think we have all the players that we need to build a strong defense. Right now we're a little hurt. We lost Larry Robinson. Rick Green is out for 2 months. Natras is out. He's suspended for 30 games, which is 2 months. And I had 2 other defensemen injured at camp. I had the guy that had the most experience, the most NHL experience on defense. My last 4 games, my last 4 exhibition games was Gilbert Delorme, which is 20 years old. So I had to move Bob Gainey on defense, and he's really helping this club. So if we can do well in the next few weeks, I think we'll be all right by the time we'll get everybody back. But we have good kids coming up. We have good prospect. We have some good draft pick coming up in the next few years. So I intend to build the club that way. And everybody's asking me here, you didn't make any trades, you don't want to make trades, and I don't think that's the way you can build a club. And you can make a trade once in a while along the road if it's the right trade for you. But so far, I was not offered the right people.
Serge, you had a very difficult situation in that Rick Natras was recently suspended indefinitely by the National Hockey League for drug violations. Give me your side of that story.
Well, I oppose as strongly as the president to any athlete that touch drugs. But I even told my players before the season that if anybody liked to touch the player, never mind the year suspension, you won't play for my club, period. But in Rick's case, he's a very nice kid, and he's all right. And this thing really happened last year before he joined the Montreal Canadiens. And I think personally that the suspension was a little tough for that. But I guess they want to make it an example out of it, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Well, hockey has eluded many of those problems, but a strong statement made by the National Hockey League nonetheless. Serge, we'll talk some more. Thanks very much for joining us. And for being our guest here in between first and second period on USA, Serge Savard will receive a pair of Levi's Action Wool Slacks, the dress pants that combine good looks and stretch comfort with the ease of machine washability. Levi's Action Wool Slacks from Levi's Menswear. There is, of course, a new rule in the National Hockey League. It's the overtime rule. Teams will play an additional period of no longer than 5 minutes in length, with the team scoring first declared the winner. The overtime period will follow a 2-minute rest period, during which time the players remain on the ice, switching ends for the overtime period. So far, there have been 2 OT periods in the NHL, and there hasn't been an OT goal scored yet. After 1 period of play, it's the Islanders 1, the Canadiens nothing. Gary Green joins me as we'll talk about some late-breaking trades in the National Hockey League and news in the NHL when we return.
Saturday on Night Flight, sit in with Graham Nash and the Hollies, plus Donnie Iris in concert, all on Night Flight at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on USA, Saturday.
Hi, I'm Jimmy Gurney. That's my father Dan out there. He thinks the best way you can have fun is take a Toyota Celica, paint it funny, and drive it around the track as fast as you can.
Boy, it's fun driving around the track as fast as you can.
But not me. I think the best way you can have fun in a Celica is to leave it just the way it is, then drive it around town as slow as you can.
Hi, Jimmy!
Wow.
Oh, what a feeling, Toyota.
You are glad to see me?
Glad isn't the word, Lila.
Listen, will you light?
Very well. If I must.
Oh, her hair is like gossamer thread.
That's a chance you'll have to take.
See your favorite stars and film classics on the Daily USA Movie, weekdays at noon Eastern and weekend afternoons.
Well, here he is, America, the new look, Gary Green. Joining me, I'm Al Troutwig in the studio. Our first segment of news in the NHL in what should be a very interesting season to see if anybody can stop the Islanders. We've been talking about it a lot. We'll be talking about it a lot more. Let's start by focusing in on a trade that was made most recently. Brent Ashton of the New Jersey Devils winds up in Minnesota. Dave Lewis of the L.A. Kings winds up in New Jersey. And Steve Kristoff goes from Minnesota to Los Angeles. Now, Gary, I think we're seeing some teams that are already trying to make deals to put themselves in a better position for the year.
Well, it's not easy to make deals, first of all, in the National League, especially last year and this year and years to come because of the league becoming that much more balanced, Al. But I think that a guy like Ashton will help Minnesota. He's got some character. Lewis already showed last night, apparently, that he was helping the New Jersey Devils on defense, and I think that he can help them throughout the course of the year. Kristoff, he's had a tough go of it the last few years. Minnesota to Calgary, back to Minnesota, and now to L.A. Hopefully, he will make himself a home in Los Angeles. They can certainly use some help out there.
Well, he's probably happy to be back in the United States. Now, the next deal happened very recently, yesterday, as a matter of fact. The Rangers sent Dave Silk to the Boston Bruins. Dave Barr of the Bruins came to the Rangers. And what Craig Patrick this week had to face was the dispersion of a lot of those Olympians from 1980. Now, the other deal is Torrey Robinson of the Washington Capitals going to the Hartford Whalers. Greg Adams of the Washington Capitals, now of the Washington Capitals, coming from the Hartford Whalers. And the third and final deal to talk about is Greg Malone of the Pittsburgh Penguins going to the Hartford Whalers for a third-round pick in 1984. Now, to the waiver draft, which took place in the National Hockey League on Monday. Not too many surprises there, or perhaps maybe one for a player that was not picked. Grant Mulvey went from the waiver draft to the Pittsburgh Penguins from Chicago. At that point, the Pittsburgh Penguins wanted to trade him immediately to New Jersey, but the National Hockey League voided that deal. Two things. Pittsburgh made a big mistake not knowing the rules, Eddie Johnston getting his new job, and the Hartford Whalers making more moves.
Well, believe me, there's a lot of rules in those governor's rule books and the rules governing the National Hockey League. So Eddie Johnston tried to make a deal that he couldn't, but you know something? I don't think that that's going to hurt them because of the fact that I think Mulvey can help Pittsburgh. I think Grant Mulvey still has got some years left in him. He didn't get an opportunity the last year especially. Orville Tessier had a lot of young guys coming along, and so there wasn't a place for him. But I think that he can help Pittsburgh.
All right, quickly, some of the other moves that were made. John Van Boxmeer was picked up by the Quebec Nordiques from the Buffalo Sabres. And here's another Hartford pickup from the St. Louis Blues. Mike Crombeen, Mike Zook, and Bobby Crawford all go to Connecticut. And finally, the Montreal Canadiens picked up Jean Hamel from the Quebec Nordiques. And that basically is what happened in the waiver draft. Dale McCourt, by the way, has a very high salary, $300,000 a year, by the way, and that meant he wasn't picked in that waiver draft. Now, somebody did retire for the Montreal Canadiens and the Quebec Nordiques. He played in the National Hockey League and WHA. Mark Tardif, 14 years overall in professional hockey.
Interesting enough, a partner of his at one point in time, Rajon Houle, from the Montreal Canadiens. Both he and Tardif started their careers together, professionally that is, in the National League with the Montreal Canadiens. Both announced their retirements just before the season started this year.
Now, there are just a couple of other notes. Wayne Gretzky recently appointed captainship of the Edmonton Oilers. Lee Fogland decided to step aside. That's probably one thing that has eluded Gretzky. I wonder how he'll take to that.
Well, first of all, I think it was a very honorable move of Lee Fogland. He said that he wanted to make some changes. He felt that he could, pass that captaincy off, and it would be a little change, and maybe a little change would help. Wayne Gretzky, let's face it, he is a tremendous hockey player. He's a leader. I've heard some people say that maybe that's a little bit too much. Wayne Gretzky has everything. Hey, you put everything aside, Wayne Gretzky can handle any responsibilities and pressures you give that man. He has shown that pressure doesn't bother him the least bit. He is the true captain, I believe, of that hockey club. Well, they've got a lot of guys that are very capable.
And congratulations to Mark Johnson, the new captain of the Whalers, and to Tom Barrasso, the teenage goaltender of Buffalo, who won his first game last night. That wraps up news in the National Hockey League. We're in between periods 1 and 2 at the Forum in Montreal, where the New York Islanders lead the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 1-0.
Are you tired of the gotcha of old-fashioned wrenches? Well, now there's Sure-Lock, and in 13/16 or 9mm to 22, Sure-Lock fits them all. No more searching for the right size. Do chewed-up bolt heads give you a headache? Relax. Sure-Lock locks up like a vise to loosen even stripped nuts because Sure-Lock works on the flats of the nut, not the corners, like those gotcha wrenches. Metric or imperial, foreign or domestic, lawnmowers, cars, bikes, and toys, nothing's too tight for Sure-Lock. It replaces this $40 set of wrenches and fits right in your pocket. There's more. In a tight spot, watch. Sure-Lock even has a built-in ratchet so it socks it up in seconds. Turn it over and it loosens just as fast. Sure-Lock is made from the finest hardened tool steel. And if you order now, we'll also send you Big Lock. It fits from 13/16 to 1 1/4. Through this offer, you get both wrenches, plus our incredible 10-year written guarantee. We'll also include 10 screwdrivers to fit every type of screw. Plus, as an extra bonus, you'll also receive the amazing Pocket Tool Kit. This incredible tool cuts glass, strips, sharpens, hones, and shapes tile like a professional does, and it's yours as a bonus. You get it all for the amazing price of only $19.99.
For COD and credit card orders, call 1-800-USA-1000. Save the COD charges at $19.99 plus $3 shipping and handling to Wrench Kit. Box 49648 Atlanta. Order now.
The score after one period of play, the New York Islanders won, the Montreal Canadiens nothing. The only scoring play in the period, Brian Crotche for the Islanders. An unassisted goal at 7:42, a shorthanded goal. And the interesting thing is, it's the first shorthanded goal in regular season play that Crotche has ever scored, they tell me, and I really find that hard to believe. You see LaFleur trying to give it back to Ludwig. Intercepted by Crotche. Walmsley stopped the first one, but Crotche got the rebound. Here it is from another angle. Here's LaFleur. Watch him try and give it back to his defense partner. Poor errant pass. Crotche intercepted and got his own rebound and scored to make it 1-0. Well, apparently the Islanders did not play very well in their season opener in Quebec City the other night. Al Arbor had a long closed-door meeting with his team yesterday and apparently just told them that everybody is back because they've won the Stanley Cup 4 times, but they have an awful lot of young players in their organization who are ready to play, and that he wasn't interested in going through the same type of regular season as the Islanders did 1 year ago. And as you know, they struggled for most of the year, then got their act together and won the Stanley Cup. I think the interesting thing about the first period was the play of Crotche. We made a couple of comments about how good an offensive player he is, but also how outstanding a defensive player. And many times you hear about scoring exploits of players, but they don't do the job defensively. That's why many people in the game of hockey regard Crotche as perhaps the premier player. He's ranked right up there by many people with the great Gretzky, and the feeling is that he is just about as good a two-way player as there is in the league, and we got a little bird's eye view, an example of that in the first period. There you see the starting goaltenders. Earlier Smith, and now Rick Walmsley with that new type mask he's wearing. And we're ready to go with the second period. 1-0, the Islanders lead. The Islanders out-shooting, or the Canadiens out-shooting the Islanders, I should say. 11-10 in the opening period. Here we go with period 2, and Wayne Sutter gets it for New York and immediately shoots it into the Montreal zone. Bob Gainey back to get it to Jean Hamel. Now to LaFleur. He flips it ahead to Acton, and Ken Morrow goes back for New York. Morrow an action battle for it. Now Steve Shutt. Shutt number 22. Smith has broken his goal stick, and now the puck is taken by New York, but play is called, and we'll have a penalty. Well, Billy Smith broke his goal stick on that last play. Meanwhile, Brent Sutter gets the penalty. Let's see if we can pick up the penalty and Smith. Well, there you see his broken stick. And now Brent Sutter doing the tripping job on the Montreal player as he tried to move it out in front of the goal. And so New York will be shorthanded now. Brent Sutter, the youngest of the two Sutter brothers on the Islanders. A tripping penalty at the 26-second mark here of period 2.
One area that the Montreal Canadiens have to improve in vastly this year, Dan, is their power play. Only 12th in the league last year, 22.2%. That's not like the Canadiens of old.
Here's Ludwig for Montreal. They have the man advantage now. Back to Ludwig. A shot wide of the target, and Lane gets it for the Islanders and fires it out of there. LaFleur going back to get it. LaFleur and Ludwig are the point men. That's the spot that Larry Robinson normally would be at, but he's out of action with an infected knee. Here's Matt Naslund now to Ludwig. Ludwig shooting it in. Dennis Potvin back for New York. Fires it over on the left wing side, and Greg Gilbert has it for New York, number 17. Naslund tied him up. Now a jam up on the boards. The Islanders get it. Butt scoring, dropping it to Lane. Well, if you're going to improve your power play, this is a tough team to improve it against. They're the best penalty killers in the league, the Islanders. Or they were a year ago and are most times. Here's Naslund shooting it in, and Gilbert is there to clear it away. How come the Islanders are such great penalty killers, Gary?
I think a lot of it has to do, Dan, with the fact they've got some good, solid defensive defensemen, but some great workers up front. You look at guys like Bobby Bourne and Caller out there right now. Those guys can really anticipate well and can really move.
Here's Ludwig for Montreal to Acton. Now to the side of the net, but Ryan Walter couldn't get it in front. Morrow knocks it down, and now Montreal with Mark Hunter back to Lafleur. Shooting, and it's tipped just wide by Walter. Montreal still with the man advantage. Number 11, Walter. Into the corner to Keith Acton. Back of the net to Hunter. Hunter got it in front, but it's knocked away. Montreal still containing the puck. Here's Acton. Moves in. A shot that hit Ryan Walter, his teammate. Walter. Back to Lafleur as Brent Sutter comes back on. The penalty has expired. Meanwhile, Montreal still with pressure on. And now a pile-up in the corner. And the puck is held there, and we get a stoppage in play. From Maine to Hawaii, you're watching the NHL on the USA Network.
Call me when you get a quasar.
Call us, dear, when you get a quasar.
For quality and dependability, shouldn't you have a quasar?
The man who has scored the only goal in this game, Brian Trottier of the Islanders, a short-handed goal. And New York leads it 1-0. Here's Gilbert Delorme from the point, a shot blocked. And now Bossy comes back for New York to Gilbert. Gilbert to Trottier, a shot. Walmsley to save, rebound, they score! Greg Gilbert set up by Trottier. And Trottier again plays a prominent role for the Stanley Cup champion Islanders.
Greg Gilbert getting an excellent opportunity to put that puck in the net. And that he did. Bossy feeding Trottier. The pass, Trottier, I should say Gilbert, going over to Trottier. Trottier a little bit too deep, but he shoots anyway. That puck comes out to Gilbert, and Walmsley way out of the net. He had an open net. All he had to do was put it in it.
So it is 2-0. Greg Gilbert, number 17, getting the goal. And here's Trottier, who set it up, gives it right back to Gilbert. And Gilbert dumps it in. Bob Gainey back for Montreal. Round on the board. Jean Hamel jamming up there. Now it's Bossy, a shot blocked. Gainey flips it away. Bob Gainey for Montreal. Gainey to center ice to Greg Kozlowski. He took a hit from Potvin but cleared it in. Now Wickenheiser jamming up with Lane back of the net. Jeff Wickenheiser couldn't get it. The Islanders do, and here comes Dennis Potvin. Potvin firing it in, and Hamel goes back to pick it up. Over to Naslund. To Mark Napier. He just dumps it in. Dave Langevin back for New York. There you see Langevin playing it off the boards to center ice again. Ludwig knocking it down. Here's Naslund. He couldn't control it. And Carlson for Montreal shoots it into the New York zone. Number 26, Dave Langevin. Dwayne Merrick had hopped over his stick. And Craig Ludwig for Montreal, clearing it in. Langevin has it for the Islanders. Trying to clear it. Here's Clark Gillies. Flips to center, and John Tonelli, number 27, down with Merrick. Over to Merrick, and he shot it high and wide. Merrick tried for the short side and missed. Into the corner to Tonelli, back to Clark Gillies. Mario Tremblay intercepts. Here's Tremblay with a long shot, and Smith kicked out his right leg to stop that. Shot right back to center by New York. Now Merrick intercepts the pass. Merrick shot. Blocked by DeLorme. Cleared away by Walmsley. And Naslin flips it ahead to Keith Acton. Got it to center. Morrow knocking it down there. Here's Tremblay shooting it in and then heads for the bench on a line change. John Tonelli for New York to Ken Morrow, ahead to Dwayne Sutter. Now over on left wing to John Tonelli. Walmsley leaving it for DeLorme. Over to Steve Shutt as the Canadiens come back, but Nystrom breaks that up at center. Robert Picard to Acton to Guy Lafleur. Lafleur in front to Picard. He shot it wide. Picard wide open, but lost his balance just as the puck got there, and he shot wide. Great chance for Montreal, but Picard misfired. Here's Dwayne Sutter. Now Brent Sutter over to Nystrom. Back to McEwen off the goal post with that shot. And Montreal charged back. Shutt dropping it to Acton. Backhander Smith, a big save on Keith Acton in this game. All of a sudden opens up wide. Here's Ken Morrow. Centering one, Brent Sutter, a backhander wide of the net. And Acton comes back with a pass to Steve Shutt. Shutt for the long shot. Smith handles that. Good end-to-end action here, Gary Green.
No question about that. Excellent opportunity by McEwen for the Islanders and Acton for the Canadiens.
Now here's a shot. Nystrom let it go. Walmsley had it, then lost it, and then smothered it again. Exclusive coverage of the National Hockey League is only here on the USA Cable Network.
Fresh and clean as a whistle. That's Irish Spring. Fresh and clean as a whistle.
Irish Spring's green and white stripes have two truly effective deodorants. Two deodorants.
And a fine fresh scent. So you're fresh and
clean as a whistle.
That's Irish Spring deodorant soap. Gets you fresh and clean as a whistle.
Score updates around the National Hockey League. Second period in Boston. The Bruins lead Quebec 3-0. Ray Bourque with 2. Steve Casper the other. Elsewhere in Philadelphia, second period. Washington and Philly are tied at 1. Howarth for Washington. Rick McLeish for Philadelphia. In this game, 2-0 Islanders.
Face-off in the Montreal zone. Had a false start, so they'll do it over again. Number 29 for the Canadiens is John Chabot out at center ice. Number 3 draft choice in 1980 of Montreal. He's a native of Summerside, Prince Edward Island. Here's Ryan Walter. Got it to center. Shot in by Gainey, and now Dennis Potvin trying to clear it. Here's Chabot, number 29, the rookie we were talking about. Centered one, but Trottier knocks it down and clears the center ice. Hamel to Walter. Over to Chabot. Over to Walter, a shot right on. Smith, another big save. The Canadiens couldn't hold it in. Puck shot down the ice. Out of the goal is Walmsley to set it up for Bob Gainey. Number 23. Headmanning to center ice. Kozlowski flips it in. And here's Stefan Pearson. Over to Dave Langevin. Shooting one into the center ice area. Nystrom to Butch Goring. Goring on left wing into the Montreal zone to Nystrom. Sprawling save by Walmsley on that perfectly timed deflection. And then the Canadiens clear the puck down into the New York zone. Pearson going back after it. And an icing call now against the Montreal Canadiens.
Good scoring opportunities this period by both clubs. This time, Goring and Nystrom, they put together a beautiful scoring play here. Goring feeding a beautiful pass right across in front of the net area to Nystrom. Nystrom deflected it. Walmsley had to come up big with a save.
What's Goring in that famous helmet of his that he's supposed to have worn since he was a midget? And that's not referring to his size. For those uninitiated with amateur hockey in North America, that's a rank of hockey. What, youngsters 14 to 16, Gary?
Around that age, Dan. By the way, Butch Goring will be 34 years of age this October, one of the older players on the Islanders.
Now Goring tossed out of the faceoff. Here's Greg Kozlowski and Bob Bourne, and now the Montreal rookie Kozlowski chased out of there. There's Jacques Lemaire, the new assistant coach on the right with the headset on with Bob Berry. Lemaire, a former great center with this Montreal club. Here's Nystrom shooting it around on the board. Butch Goring coming up with it. Goring flipping it in. Now centers one, and taking over is the big rookie Kent Carlson, number 2. Carlson fires it into the corner. Morrow couldn't get it. Now Mark Hunter out in front. A shot. That's blocked, and it's Nystrom right back for New York. Wickenheiser back-checking breaks it up. And here's Carlson flipping it to Kozlowski, and it's called back on a 2-line offside from inside the Montreal blue line.
The new faces in the Montreal Canadiens lineup. One of them is Ken Carlson, a big 6'3", 200-pound defenseman from St. Lawrence University. Size he's got, no question about that. John Chabot, 6'1", 185 pounds. The Canadiens got some good size.
Here's Robert Picard to his defense partner Delorme, and Delorme flipped it into the New York zone. Potvin back to get it. At center to Gillies, now to John Tonelli. Islanders lead 2-0. Here's Tonelli to Greg Gilbert, and that just was over his stick, and the Canadiens flip it down the ice. Lane hustles back. Lane able to touch the puck, and as he does, an icing call against Montreal. For our local systems, we'll pause now. The National Hockey League is coming your way on USA.
Next. If you're thinking of buying a new car, stop and start thinking about a new GMC truck. GMC Truck Center in Dearborn can help you decide on a truck that fits your lifestyle. Choose between vans, pickups, and other trucks that will convince you that a GMC truck is one you can live with. GMC Truck Center will provide you with the quality service you deserve. So if you're looking for a vehicle that will respond to your every mood, visit GMC Truck Center on Ford Road at Wyoming in Dearborn.
I see you're worried. I got you 4 down.
Not the golf.
Not the golf.
I wish I knew what to do about retirement. I need help.
Do what I did, Mike. Talk to IDS.
IDS?
My IDS representative and you can set up a financial plan to help you reach all of your goals, including retirement.
An IDS financial plan. Excellent idea.
Off the ice, when you interview Dennis Potvin, you know, he's also spent a lot of time not only perfecting his skills on the ice, Dan, but interesting enough off the ice as well. I think whenever he retires, he may end up taking one of our jobs.
A very good chance. I think he's interested in doing the color analysis, though, however, rather than play-by-play.
I think he'd be a much better play-by-play man.
And he could do it in either French or English. He could make himself a mint, as a matter of fact, couldn't he? Faceoff is coming up in the New York zone. He's also much better looking than Al Troutwig, so he'd be very good in the studio. He could do the whole thing.
Boy, I'll tell you, produce as well.
Here's the long shot to the Montreal blue line. Delorme breaks that up, and now Brent Sutter drops it back. Cleared to center ice. Picard flips it in. Langevin has it there for New York. And Persson flips it over to Dave Langevin into the center ice area for Brent Sutter. Sutter shoots it in. Here's Wayne Sutter. Tied up by Picard, and Keith Acton, number 12, for Montreal. Gives it to Lafleur. Pass to Scuffles behind him. Persson taking over. And some of the Montreal fans getting a little restless with the heavy time. Here comes Wayne Sutter's shot. A stick save by Wamsley. Wayne Sutter trying to center. Acton clears it around to the board. Ken Morrow held that in. Now it's Lafleur. Flips to center ice. Morrow knocks it down, and Bob Nystrom has it. Nystrom in for New York. Shoots one. Glove save by Wamsley. And it's Bob Gainey for Montreal. He cleared it near the Islander line. Here's Ken Morrow. Over to Mike McEwen, back to Morrow. The Auditors lead 2-0 in this game. Mark Napier breaks up this rush and feeds it ahead to Shabbat. Over to Ryan Wolter, and Morrow got in front of that shot. Now that's the score! The rookie Shabbat, after a very poor clearing pass by the Islanders. Number 29, John Shabbat.
This young man showed that he can shoot a puck. Good wrist shot to beat Billy Smith. The first time this evening that Billy Smith has been beaten right from the slot area. You notice he didn't wind up and take a blistering slap shot that he had no control of. Instead, a good solid wrist shot beat Billy Smith cleanly. You see Smith turn to his right to look over his pads as the puck goes behind him.
John Shabbat, the number 3 draft choice in 1980 of the Canadiens. Intercepts the pass in front of the net and scores. Now the Auditors come back. Owen Walmsley went to his knees. Now the Canadiens come back. Here's Shabbat again. Shabbat to Napier. Napier moving right in. Tried to get it in front, and there you see Trottier with another big defensive play for New York. He was back where a defenseman would be, and he blocked the pass up. Centering pass. Now Trottier at the other end. He takes a whack at Jean Hamel. Gives it to Ryan Wolter. Lane pinching in from the point. Now Shabbat, who scored the goal. Out on the right wing boards. And Napier shot it to center. Cleared back in by Trottier. 2-1. The Auditors' lead has been cut in this game. Lead pass ahead to Kozlowski. He couldn't catch up with it, and back is Stefan Pearson. Now to Greg Gilbert. Gilbert shot at the center. Here's Wickenheiser. Gets it into the Montreal zone. Ludwig is there. He flips the center to Wickenheiser. Now to Mark Hunter, a shot. That goes wide. Puck loose at the side of the goal. A centering shot, and Wickenheiser backhands it wide. Now another shot wide of the target. That goal is deemed to spark the Canadiens. And Dave Langevin has it for New York. Got it. Here's Greg Kozlowski intercepted. Kozlowski in front. Mark Hunter couldn't get a stick on it. Now Hunter does get it. Centering pass, and Tonelli intercepts. To Clark Gillies. Gillies can't get around Carlson, and Wickenheiser flips it down the ice. Bob Bourne back to pick it up. Bourne played it off the boards to center. Mondew shoots it right back in. Smith clears to Potvin. Potvin to Bob Bourne. Bourne with a right wing pass to Bossy. Bossy couldn't get around Picard. And Robert Picard gives it to Gilbert Delorme. Now on right wing to Mondew. Ahead at center to Matt Naslund. Oh, and then Naslund ran into the linesman and took quite a tumble. Shot it in. Lane back to get it. Clears it. Picard at the point. With a shot that goes off a stick and over the glass and into the crowd. This game has tightened up. The score still favors the Auditors, 2-1.
Hey, what's a nice family like the Vengroves doing in a place like this?
We're going on vacation.
The four-wheel drive Toyota Tercel wagon is on the move again. Destination, fun. Because this Tercel switches from front wheel to four-wheel drive on command.
There it is!
And gives the best gas mileage of any four-wheel drive car. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's also spacious, smooth, tough.
They call him Radar. I think the name The Professor would be much better for this guy, Al Arbor.
Well, the Professor is coaching his 800th game for the New York Islanders versus his counterpart tonight, Bob Berry.
His 800th game as the Islander coach for Al Arbor tonight. Centering pass out in front, broken up, and Bob Bourne fires it off the boards down the ice. Robert Picard back to get it. Flip to center ice. Tremblay headbanding it to Matt Naslund. Naslund moving in, centering one. And Bob Bourne has it for New York. He lost it in front of the net to Mondew, but Butch Goring checked him. Mike McEwen. That goal has really sparked the Montreal club, Gary.
Yes, it has, Dan. Brought them within one, and they seem to have picked up a little bit right now.
The Islanders, with the 2-0 lead, were completely controlling the game, but that quick goal by Chabot has given Montreal a life, and they've showed it. Here's Picard trying to wind it out of there. Shot at the center ice. There's a step on Pearson. Over to Dave Langevin. Now flipping it ahead. Here's Brent Sutter. Checked in the play. Bob Nystrom comes up with it. Broken up from Lafleur. Comes back for Montreal with Keith Acton. Acton back to Lafleur in front of the net. Lafleur a shot. He scores! Guy Lafleur skating backwards. Ties this game up. When you show the replay of this goal, you'll see the mobility and the agility of Lafleur, Guy Lafleur.
Forward, backwards, sideways. The Flower can go every way that he has to in order to score a goal. Look at the move there. Stephen Pearson, he really had him beat. He was able to continue to stay on his feet while he maintained possession of the puck. And to top it all off, Dan, he was at a wide angle, but was still able to find enough room to put that puck up and over Billy Smith.
Now, most players wouldn't have backed off the way Lafleur did then. They would have shot it and would have missed the net.
Or if they had continued, they would have continued skating forward and taken themselves right out of the play.
So all of a sudden, it's a 2-2 game as the Canadiens have rallied. Puck shot down the ice, and Smith back to give it to Dave Langevin. Langevin firing one out on the boards. Ludwig knocks it down. Now Keith Acton centering one out in front, and it's cleared away, and Dwayne Sutter works it to Bob Nystrom. Nystrom for New York, centering one. That's knocked away. Here's Steve Schutt. To Acton, to Lafleur. Lafleur for Montreal, moving in, shoots one. That deflects and went wide. And Dwayne Sutter for New York gives it to Nystrom. Bob Nystrom, number 23, flips it in, and then the play is called at the Montreal blue line on an offside. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The NHL is coming to you on USA.
After the second period is complete, the studio is going to be the place to be, and I hope you can join me. Mike Bossy will be my guest, and a lot of the Islanders have been shifted around a little bit by Al Arbour. John Tonelli is back at center for a touch. Bob Nystrom has switched wings. We'll find out if Mike Bossy has had his position changed at all. After that, we're going to see what happened on Wall Street as William Bruce brings us the Wall Street Journal late news, and then a look at the new coaches in the National Hockey League.
Well, those two quick goals by Montreal. Chabot got an unassisted goal at 10:19, and then Lafleur tied it from Acton at 14:08. It's 2-2. The earlier Islander goals have been scored by Trottier and Gilbert. So the game, a brand new one. Here is Chabot, the rookie who started it for Montreal, clearing it in. Going back is Gord Lane. A long lead pass goes all the way down the ice, and this is going to be an icing call against the New York Islanders.
Guy Lafleur will certainly sleep better tonight after having scored that one, after giving up, actually, that first goal. There we take a look at Jean Hamel, who recently came to the Montreal Canadiens. He has been seen for most of the night with a very experienced veteran player. Not experienced at defense, however, and that of Bob Gainey.
Hamel, originally drafted in the NHL by St. Louis, played with Detroit. He's been at Quebec. There's the Flower, Guy Lafleur, who just tied this game.
What a transmission he must have to be able to shift gears that quickly out in the ice.
Couldn't even hear any grinding, could you?
Not a bit.
Here's Trottier for New York trying to make a play. Chabot ties him up, and Bob Gainey has it. Number 23, Gainey. Flipping it into Chabot. Chabot centered, and Trottier knocks it down. Trottier ahead for Bourne. Bob Bourne, number 14. Nice pass to Tonelli. Tonelli to Potvin. Centered it across. Here's Bossy, a shot. He scores! Mike Bossy, whom you'll meet in our upcoming intermission, just gives the Islanders the lead once more. And there is the great right winger of the Islanders, Mike Bossy.
You know, any other player in that position with possession of the puck would have had a difficult time, but take a look at this play. The way it was set up, Potvin to Bossy. Walmsley really made the right play in waiting Bossy out, but again, Bossy has got such precision shooting that he just waited and waited until he found the perfect spot, and the perfect spot was right over to Walmsley's far corner.
So the Islanders have the lead again. Potvin gets an assist. So does John Tonelli, and Tonelli has the puck right now. Tonelli from behind the net couldn't get it in front. Clark Gillies trying to clear it. And now coming back is Mark Hunter. Shot down into the New York zone. Morrow going back again for the Islanders. Cleared to center. Robert Picard intercepts that over to Gilbert Delorme. Delorme now flips it in. Here's Mike McEwen for New York. Back to Ken Morrow. Around on right wing to Gillies. It comes to center and taken by Carlson, the Montreal rookie. Here's Ken Morrow to Greg Gilbert. And Gilbert shoots it in. Gillies in after it. Cleared it around on the board. And it is taken now by Delorme and shot to the Islander line. Mike McEwen giving it to Ken Morrow. Morrow shot it to the Montreal line. The team is playing very, very cautiously at this point. 3-2 Islanders lead. Here's Mondeau trying to get something going for Montreal. Drops it back. That's broken up. And here comes Brent Sutter with Dwayne, but Carlson rocked him with a check and shakes up Brent Sutter and also put the play offside. Exclusively on USA, it's the National Hockey League.
In the West, where Levi Strauss & Company began, how your clothes feel has always been just as important as how they look. That's why Levi's Action Slacks have an easy care fabric that gives, plus a waistband that moves with you. It's a feeling of comfort that's capturing more men every day. Levi's Action Slacks. A real comfort from Levi's menswear.
2 minutes, 33 seconds left in period 2. 3-2 Islanders. That last scoring play. Mike Bossy is second of the year. Potvin Tonelli the assist. 16:02 the time. Now the Islanders shoot the puck back into the Montreal zone, and this is Carlson, number 2. Passing it over on the left wing side for Matt Naslund. Stefan Persson broke that up to Brent Sutter, now to Bourne. Bourne with a long shot. Walmsley handles it, clears it into the corner. Here's Brent Sutter to Dwayne Sutter. Back to Brent. Back to Dwayne, but broken up, and the Canadiens clear it. It hit the linesman. Stefan Persson over to Dave Langevin. Langevin to Dwayne Sutter. Into the Montreal zone, and intercepting that is Tremblay, who cleared it to center. Goring. Now to Gilbert. Gilbert is checked in the play. Here's Mario Tremblay. Couldn't get it around Persson. To Gilbert. Gilbert dropped pass to Goring. A shot wide by a couple of feet. They score! Bob Nystrom got the rebound off the backboards and stuffed it in. And the Islanders have a 2-goal lead once again.
Quickness on the Islanders' part, a little bit slow defensively for the Montreal Canadiens. Watch it as Gilbert drops the pass. Goring shoots the puck. It bounces off the boards. Walmsley's caught totally off guard, off stride, off balance. And Bobby Nystrom is the man that's right there to put that puck nicely up and over Walmsley. Walmsley on his back at the time.
So it's a 2-goal lead again for the Islanders. Now 4-2. They had one time led 2-0. Montreal came back and tied it. But now again a 2-goal lead for the defending Stanley Cup champion New York Islanders. 18:34 the time of the goal. Nystrom from Goring and Gilbert. As you look at a perplexed Bob Berry at the Montreal bench.
Interesting, Dan, the fact that the Montreal Canadiens are starting their 67th season in the NHL this year, while the New York Islanders are only starting their 12th.
Here's a clearing pass to Goring off his stick. Now Gainey is there for Montreal to shoot it to center. Dennis Potvin fires it back in. And Hamel cleared it, but right onto Greg Gilbert's stick. Gilbert into the corner for Nystrom. Now to Gilbert again. Greg Gilbert behind the goal to Goring. Goring darts out in front. Puts Goring in the final minute of this, the second period. Checked in the play by Acton, who pokes it to center ice. Potvin giving it to his defense partner, number 24 for the Islanders, Gord Lane. Back to Potvin. Now Gainey bursting in on the left side for New York. Here's Acton to Lafleur, centered. Nystrom knocks it away, and Potvin carries back for New York. 20 seconds left in the period. Potvin shot wide of the net. Gainey is there. Gainey to Lafleur. Now to Ryan Walter. He flipped it in, but Anders Keller intercepts. Now to Trottier. Brian Trottier with a couple of seconds left. Overskates the puck, and that will end the second period. Period in which 5 goals were scored. Shots on goal in this game favor the visiting Islanders by a margin of 23-18 after 2 periods of play. Coming up, you'll meet Mike Bossy, the man who gave the Islanders the lead with his second goal of the year, one of the great goal scorers in the history of the National Hockey League. After 2 periods of play, here at the Forum in Montreal, the score, the New York Islanders 4 and the Montreal Canadiens 2. Our intermission coming right up.
Saturday on Night Flight, sit in with Graham Nash and the Hollies, plus Donnie Iris in concert, all on Night Flight at midnight Eastern, 9 Pacific on USA, Saturday.
Are you tired of the gotcha of old-fashioned wrenches? Well, now there's Sure-Lock, an incredible new universal wrench with a grip like a vise. Sure-Lock versus all these wrenches makes Sure-Lock a sure winner. From 3/8 to 13/16 or 9mm to 22, Sure-Lock fits them all. No more searching for the right size. Do chewed-up bolt heads give you a headache? Relax. Sure-Lock locks up like a vise to loosen even strip nuts, because Sure-Lock works on the flats of the nut, not the corners, like those gotcha wrenches. Metric or imperial, foreign or domestic, lawnmowers, cars, bikes, and toys, nothing's too tight for Sure-Lock. It replaces this $40 set of wrenches and fits right in your pocket. There's more. In a tight spot, watch. Sure-Lock even has a built-in ratchet so it socks it up in seconds. Turn it over and it loosens just as fast. Sure-Lock is made from the finest hardened tool steel. And if you order now, we'll also send you Big Lock. It fits from 13/16 to 1 1/4. Through this offer, you get both wrenches, plus our incredible 10-year written guarantee. We'll also include 10 screwdrivers to fit every type of screw. Plus, as an extra bonus, you'll also receive the amazing pocket tool kit. This incredible tool cuts glass, strips, sharpens, hones, and shapes tile like a professional does. And it's yours as a bonus. You get it all for the amazing price of only $19.99.
For COD and credit card orders, call 1-800-USA-1000. Save the COD charges at $19.99 plus $3 shipping and handling to Wrench Kit. Box 49648 Atlanta. Order now.
Back live on USA at the Forum in Montreal. A very entertaining second period, a wide-open one. The Islanders still prevail, however, by 2 goals, 4-2. It was back in 1977 at Gallagher Steakhouse in New York City, where Roy Bowe, then the owner of the Islanders, introduced what he hoped to be the Islanders' next scoring sensation. It was Mike Bossy. Well, Roy Bowe is gone. Gallagher Steakhouse is still there. Mike Bossy is still here, having scored a lot of goals since that time. Mike, how do you feel starting this season with the Islanders? A little older, a little wiser?
Well, a little older, a little wiser, like you say. A little rusted. I only played 2 exhibition games because of an intestinal virus that I had. And so things are a little slow to start, but hopefully they'll pick up.
Mike, that first game, one you'd like to forget against Quebec, and in it and in the preseason, Al Arbour has tinkered a little bit. John Tonelli was back at center. Bobby Nystrom switched wings. Has Al moved you around at all?
No. Al tried a couple of years ago throwing me on the left side here and there, but he's basically kept Brian and myself together with Anders Keller on the left side for most of training camp, and I think that's, he knows I'm a right winger, and I think that's where I'll stay.
Well, it was a wide-open second period here at the Forum in Montreal. Let's take a look at the go-ahead goal for the Islanders after Montreal had crept back to tie the game at 2.
Well, John Tonelli made a nice play to come in, and then Dennis just threaded the needle to get the puck over to me. And, I had a lot of time, and I was thinking of going 5-hole on the goalie, and he didn't really make a move, and it just got through there.
Well, you said the key thing, you had a lot of time. However, some other players would have fired it right away. There was a distinct hesitation there to wait for Wamsley to get out of the way or to move so that you had a wide-open shot.
Well, it didn't really accomplish anything waiting. I might have been better off shooting right away because he sort of took all the angle that I had away from me. And like I said, I was looking for 5-hole. And, you know, on most goalies, they will give you one. And if they don't, they'll make a move to give you one. So that's probably one of my favorite spots to shoot on a goalie.
Mike, give me a little How I Spent My Summer Vacation by Mike Bossy.
Well, I tried to take it easy. I, you know, did quite a bit of charity work and I worked for Titan Hockey Sticks and CCM Equipment, and I had some public appearances to do for them, some product testing for them, and that was how most of the summer was spent. I spent quite a bit of time with my family, just trying to relax, and played some golf on the side.
How's your golf game?
It's not too bad. It was pretty bad at the start of the summer. It got a little better at the end, and then I finished with a terrible round, so hopefully it'll be better next summer.
Well, if Al Arbor has his way, you won't have much time to play golf. One game down. Tonight, they're off to a fine start. Good luck, Mike Bossy.
Thank you very much, Al.
Mike Bossy of the New York Islanders, and for being our guest in between periods, Mike Bossy will receive a disc camera from Kodak. So it's easy to use, you never miss a picture. Coming up, William Bruce tells us about the Wall Street Journal late news, and in addition to that, we will also have the coaching changes in the National Hockey League. 2 periods complete at the Forum in Montreal. The Islanders 4, the Montreal Canadiens 2. We'll be back on USA in a moment.
If you're into motorcycles, I'm John Gilbert with Cycle Guide Magazine's Great Value Kit with fantastic discounts and rebates on better Windjammer fairings, Yamaha 750J Viragos, Roadman street boots, and super rebates on 3 different GPC Kawasaki's. Available with your paid subscription when you phone today and order Cycle Guide Magazine, the best in motorcycling, with the latest news on street bikes, motocross, touring, road racing, product values, and specs, with scoops, tips, and hard news. It's only $11.98 a year for new subscribers. So call now. Call 1-800-USA-1000. And when you phone today, you'll also receive free with your paid subscription this buyer's guide with hundreds of photos that show you the best buys and accessories. Just look at what you get. Super Value Kit rebates and discounts, plus 12 months of Cycle Guide, plus the buyer's guide. And if you're not satisfied, we'll refund your money. So call now. Call 1-800-USA-1000.
Al Trautwig back at the Forum in Montreal, where the Islanders lead the Montreal Canadiens by a score of 4-2. As will become our custom on our coverage of the National Hockey League, in between periods, we'll step back to New York City, where William Bruce will update us with the Wall Street Journal late news.
A good month for retailers. Details on that story and more next.
The Wall Street Journal Late News with William Bruce, brought to you by Allstate. We insure your home, your car, your health, your business, and your life. You're in good hands with Allstate.
Good evening, everyone. Recovery is holding strong for the nation's major retailers, all posting hefty September sales gains. Appliances were hot sellers, as were many back-to-school items, but unusually warm weather hurt clothing sales. The housing industry could be one of the hardest hit by big federal deficits. So says David Maxwell, head of the Federal National Mortgage Association, the nation's largest mortgage lender. He says huge government borrowing will soak up half the country's savings, in turn driving up home loan rates. Now this from Allstate.
Mom, how come Jeffy Wilson gave me his rabbit?
Well, since Jeffy's dad died, they have to move to an apartment.
So we have to move if something happens to our dad?
Oh, no, baby.
Allstate Update. Mortgage Protection Life Insurance.
With an Allstate Mortgage Protection Plan, it doesn't cost much to help make sure a paid-up house is there for your family, even if you aren't.
Don't worry, Murphy. You never have to move again.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
The recovery is leaving its stamp on mail-order retailers. Many are posting huge sales gains. And in contrast to last year, the pricier items are selling swiftly. Mail-order merchants are optimistic, so expect to see more catalogs in your mailbox. A recent survey of economists predicts a recession in 1985 or 6. But business executives aren't taking the forecast very seriously. They don't think the seers can see that far into the future. Wall Street scaled new heights today. The Dow soared more than 18.5 points to set a record in heavy trading. For the Wall Street Journal, I'm William Bruce. Thanks for joining us, and now back to the Forum in Montreal.
And we are back at the Forum in Montreal. As Mike Bossy was leaving the studio here, he said, I had some stocks. Can I stay and watch the Wall Street Journal late news? I said, no, you better get back to your locker room. Al Arbor would want it that way. As we begin a new season, we look around the league to check out to see who's new and where they are. And right here we take a look to see just how different things are behind the bench. To find some new faces in the National Hockey League this year, just look behind the bench. The coaching jobs in Minnesota, Pittsburgh, Hartford, and St. Louis give those teams a new look. In Minnesota, Bill Mahoney takes over, stepping into a job held by Glenn Sonmore, Murray Oliver, and for a time, Lou Nanne last season. Mahoney's resume reveals American Hockey League experience with Adirondacks, a fourth-place playoff appearance last year, and an assistant coaching job under Gary Green with the Washington Capitals 2 years ago. Mahoney is looking to bring Minnesota's wide-open game under control.
Well, I think that we're going to start today and put together a program that we hope is going to be showing lots of discipline and lots of offense mixed with some, I hope, very tight defensive style of play. And I think that we're planning to show our fans here that this club is going to have to be reckoned with for the very top of the league.
In Pittsburgh, Lou Angotti will have his work cut out for him, where he takes over for Eddie Johnston, who was moved to general manager upon the untimely death of Baz Bastien. Lou, a former Penguin himself, has had the necessary coaching experience, with 2 brief interim stints with the St. Louis Blues in the mid-'70s, and last year with Pittsburgh's farm team, the Baltimore Skipjacks. Lou Angotti is not alone, feeling defense will be the key for success.
What we're trying to do is to take a better attitude towards our defensive game, and that is in the area of not only our defense but our forwards as well. And so far we've accomplished that. Our forwards are holding up a lot of responsibility in the opposing team's end by keeping the man high, so we have 3 men coming back. Our defensemen are doing a great job of moving up and not taking unnecessary chances. Our forwards are back checking and helping out on our end, and I think it's proven in the scores.
For Jack Evans, it's an all-in-the-family situation in Hartford. He comes to the Whalers on the coattails of general manager Emil Francis. The connection comes from Francis's affiliation with the St. Louis Blues. Evans was the coach of the Blues minor league club, the Salt Lake Golden Eagles, from 78 to 83, and coached Salt Lake to 3 first-place finishes. But he knows in Hartford that won't be enough.
Improve the team and, be worked on considerably. That's doing so, we don't want to take away from the offense that we already have. That has to be improved also.
Finally, in St. Louis, Jacques Demers will assume the head coaching responsibilities. Barclay Plager, who finished last season as head man, will become assistant coach. Demers comes in with impressive stats. Last year, he coached the Fredericton Express of the American Hockey League to a first-place finish. He was also named the AHL Coach of the Year 2 seasons ago. Before that, he coached the Quebec Nordiques during the last year of the WHA. He's a player-oriented coach.
I notice in certain books, hockey books, they can make us finish 5th overall, 20th or so. I will surprise people. I like the attitude too much not to. We have a good nucleus. I know we didn't have the first draft choice last year, but the way Doug Gilmour is going for us right now, certainly looks like it'd be a first draft choice for us. So when you have Brian Sutter and Bernie Federico, Mike Liut, the Babbage, I'm maybe forgetting players, obviously I am. We got a good nucleus, and we're going to win some hockey games.
And that's what's happened behind the benches in the National Hockey League as we approach and enter into the 1983-84 season.
The new car. It is based on what your driving needs are today and what they will be in the future. The new car. It is designed to move people in comfort and with unrivaled efficiency. The new car, the Honda Civic CRX.
Of the 3 million people who live in Los Angeles, 35,000 of them are known rapists, murderers, and thieves. They outnumber the police force 7 to 1.
There are over 5,000 men in this city who know that being a policeman is an endless, glamorous, thankless job that's got to be done.
Tales of Dragnet on the USA Network at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific, Saturdays.
The National Hockey League on USA is being brought to you in part by Honda, makers of the new car, the CRX.
The score after 2 periods of play, the New York Islanders 4, the Montreal Canadiens 2. It was 1-0 after the first period. In the second period, the Islanders went ahead 2-0 on a goal by Greg Gilbert. But then Montreal came back, the rookie Chabot and the veteran Lafleur to tie it. Mike Bossy gave the Islanders the lead again at 16:02, and then Bob Nystrom at 18:34 again gave New York a 2-goal lead. Let's look at the goal that tied the game for Montreal by the great veteran, the Flower, Guy Lafleur.
We said a lot of things about this guy over the course of the year, but again, get an opportunity here to look at the way that Lafleur put on those breaks, skated backwards, held possession of the puck, and put that puck right up and over Smitty. And what can you say about Billy Smith? He's played so well tonight, but yet in a situation like that with Lafleur, you just can't always outguess great players, especially like Lafleur.
You saw the Mike Bossy goal in our interview with Mike that gave the Islanders the lead again at 3-2, and then the goal that made it 4-2. Bob Nystrom being very aggressive as he came in after a loose puck.
Well, again, we see that Walmsley is down, and Dan, in that second period, Walmsley almost looked like he was tiring somewhat. Goring shooting that puck. Those rebounds off the backboards had given Walmsley trouble all night long. You notice that puck just laying there, Walmsley down, and so once again we see player on the Islanders just being able to put it up and over Walmsley. That's not like him. He's a stand-up goaltender, and I just question as to perhaps whether he is feeling a little bit tired in this second period. It's tough to feel tired the first game of the NHL season.
79 to go. You better not be weary now. Gary, nothing in this game has really surprised me. The Islanders look like the Islanders, and Montreal, with several injuries, have not looked that strong in their opening night home game.
No, you know, and I would tend to blame it somewhat more on their forwards, Dan, than on their defense. You're looking at a lot of young hockey players on the blue line for the Montreal Canadiens, yet they haven't played all that bad. A guy like Kent Carlson has played pretty steadily out there for them tonight, but again, they've got good forwards. They've got to get the effort out of them. They've got to forecheck a little bit more consistently than they're doing out there right tonight.
Meanwhile, the teams are back on the ice ready for the start of the third period. Remember, if we would be tied at the end of 60 minutes regulation time, a 2-minute pause, and then a 5-minute sudden death overtime period. So that's something to keep in mind for all NHL regular season games. A new wrinkle this year. And here we go at the Forum in Montreal with period 3. Matt Naslund immediately shooting it into the Islander zone. Mike McEwen back after it. McEwen to Brent Sutter, now to Bob Bourne. Bourne on left wing, cutting in. Here's Bourne, centered, and Naslund came back to break it up. Here is Matt Naslund right back the other way. Naslund, the native of Sweden, trying to work around Morrow. And Ken Morrow broke it up and cleared it into the center ice area. Here's Brent Sutter. His shot. Stopped at the defense by Hamel. He got it again, and Brent Sutter shot wide. Now McEwen. He missed the net. Here's Dwayne Sutter to his younger brother Brent behind the net. Brent Sutter back to Dwayne Sutter. Centering one, Walmsley able to smother it, and even though the puck had come loose, the whistle had gone as soon as the referee Ron Wicks lost sight of that puck. And a stoppage in play as we look at Brent Sutter, one of the Sutter family that's starting to dominate the National Hockey League. Face-off coming up to the right of the Montreal goal. Here's Dennis Potvin for the point with a shot wide. Now Bossy shoots, he scores! Mike Bossy may have just sewn this game up for the New York Islanders. His second goal of this game, his third of this young season, and this the Islanders' second game of the year.
We heard Bossy talking about putting it through the 5-hole. Well, he's got a great shot from any angle out there. He didn't have to put it through the 5-hole that time. He picked the inside corner once again.
The first goal Bossy scored, you saw him hesitate and take his time. This one, the key to the goal was the quickness with which he got the shot away. And it is 5-2 for the Islanders. Now Mark Napier coming back, centering one, gets it in front of the net, but cleared away by Carlson, and now he's knocked down by Trottier. You saw the strength of Trottier as he knocked the big rookie Kent Carlson on the seat of his pants. Here comes Bossy right back for New York, giving it to Potvin. Potvin shoots. He put it up high, over the glass, and into the crowd. And now it's a 5-2 Islander lead, that last scoring play. Mike Bossy from Trottier and Lane at 1:02 here of the third period as you look at the Islander captain, Dennis Potvin, taking his place on the New York bench.
Well, we know that the Islanders for sure are out this season, as we mentioned earlier, to try and make it 5 in a row. They were only the second team in history to win 4 consecutive Stanley Cups, the other team being that of their opponents tonight, the Montreal Canadiens.
They're the only team that's ever won 5, which the Islanders will try and duplicate if they were to win again this year. Puck comes to center, Clark Gilly dropping it to Pearson. Now to Greg Gilbert. Ahead to Tonelli. John Tonelli moving in on right wing. He's checked and Steve Shutt gives it to Keith Acton. Acton back to Shutt. Shutt gets turned around. Shutt with a shot. Smith the save. Big pile-up, and Smith somehow was able to freeze the puck and hold it for a face-off. Coast-to-coast coverage of the NHL is only on the USA Cable Network. We'll be right back.
I can't believe we're bidding a job this big. They wanted somebody new.
If you can make the numbers work, it means the big time. That's why you've got the Rainbow, the new personal computer from Digital with 2 separate microprocessors. One for today's jobs, another for tomorrow's. It's like getting 2 computers for the price of one.
That's it. Welcome to the big time.
The Rainbow from Digital Equipment Corporation. Call 1-800-DIGITAL for the store nearest you.
Big Doug Wickenheiser ready for a face-off in the Islander zone against Brent Sutter. Sutter gets the draw, and McEwen has it for New York. To Brent Sutter. Now to Dwayne Sutter. Shoots one. He put it up high off the glass. Bourne holding it in. He's checked, and back comes Mark Hunter. Couldn't get around Brent Sutter, who shoots it back to center. The thing about getting behind this Islander team by 3 goals, they're the top defensive team in the NHL on the Bill Jennings Trophy last year, and they're as hard to play catch-up against as anybody in the hockey business. Score! Well, that ends that theory right there.
The Canadians like it when you say that, Dan. Mark Hunter finding that spot on Billy Smith right in the far slot area, right to the right of Billy Smith. Take a look at it. There he goes. He's got possession of the puck. The Islander defenseman going down on his knees. Billy Smith giving up a little bit too much room, perhaps, but I think also screened by his defenseman. A very dangerous move by a defenseman to go down and block your goaltender. He totally loses sight of the puck.
So Montreal may have given themselves a life. Meanwhile, they still trail by 2 as the Islanders try and work it out of their own zone, and Dennis Potvin slides it down into the Montreal zone. This is Bob Gainey to Mario Tremblay. Shot to center to Matt Naslund. Now ahead to Mondew with Naslund. 2-on-1 break and drive. Just off Smith's glove and then wide. Now Greg Gilbert is flattened by Hamel. Back comes Butch Goring. Goring across the line. Gives it to Nystrom. Shot it behind the net. And Bob Gainey comes right back for Montreal. Gainey trying to work it in. Lane knocked it down. Couldn't clear it. Here's Mondew in behind the net. Centered to Tremblay. A shot. Billy Smith makes the save and held onto it. 5-3 here. The Islanders lead. Let's see what's happening elsewhere. And here's Al Trubwick.
The third. We'll start off at Boston Garden, where in the third period the Bruins lead Quebec 4-1. Bourque has 2, Capra and McTavish the other, Peter Stastny for the Nordiques. In the third period at Philadelphia, the Flyers lead Washington 3-1. Carson, Clark, and McLeish for Philadelphia. Alan Howarth for Washington, and that's where we stand.
Rick McLeish back in a Philadelphia Flyer uniform. Came to camp as a free agent and apparently has won himself a job with his old club, the Flyers.
It's going to be very interesting watching his progress this year.
Here the Islanders win a face-off in their own zone. Pearson to Bossy. Got it to center ice to Anders Keller. Keller into Trotcha, and that play goes offside at the Montreal blue line. With the score, the Islanders 5, Montreal 3. We'll pause right here.
The Honda Accord LX four-door sedan. It comes with a long list of standard equipment. Cruise control, air conditioning, a sophisticated stereo, a lighted mirror, power door locks and windows. The Accord LX has everything. Almost. The yacht is optional.
Face-off at the Montreal line. The Islanders get it in. Brian Trotcha to Anders Keller. Keller to Trotcha. Clearing to Napier. He flipped it off the board. There's a 2-on-1 Montreal break. John Chabot to Ryan Walter. Missed the net by about a foot. Oh, Chabot gave Walter a perfect pass, and he missed the net. Back comes Bossy for New York. His shot wide of the Montreal goal. Ryan Walter clearing it. Chabot now to Napier. Here's Mark Napier to Chabot, number 29. Chabot shot a wrist shot that Billy Smith caught and held on to.
I'm very impressed with John Chabot tonight, Dan. He really has looked, as he's not a rookie, but as a veteran almost, playing on that line with Napier and Walter. Take a look at the 2-on-1 situation created initially because Langevin got caught up ice. Ryan Walter fed with the pass, but missed the net completely off to the left of Billy Smith. Ryan not too happy with himself right now, and boy, I coached this hockey player in Washington, and if you want to talk about a determined hockey player, you've got it. Ryan Walter, 100% each and every night.
You were talking about Chabot, who gave him the pass. He's a 20-year-old rookie, had 16 goals with Nova Scotia in the American League last year. Walk into the corner. Jam up there, and now Gilbert gets it for New York. Greg Gilbert bumped by Delorme. He's another 20-year-old man for Montreal, but in his third year is Delorme. Now Gillies trying to center one. That goes off Picard and deflects up over the glass and into the crowd. I was talking about Gilbert Delorme, number 27. There you see him on your screen right there. How would you like to be 20 and be in your third year in the National Hockey League?
That really is amazing, isn't it? And he's got such poise out there. When he broke into the league, he seemed like he was going to be a consistent player, and that he has turned out to be.
I think I said Chabot was 20. He's 21. Just turned 21 this past May.
Amazing the number of assists Chabot has created over the year. Only 16 goals last year, but 73 assists. Looks like he's a playmaker right back from the junior days when he scored 34 goals in his junior career, but 109 assists.
That was his last year of junior with Sherbrooke in the Quebec League. Here's McEwen. A shot from the point block. Now Gillies for New York. Fired it around behind the net to John Tonelli. Tonelli is checked, and the Islanders shut. Feeds Acton with Lafleur. The pass to Lafleur leaves it for Acton. In front of the net, and Ken Morrow, the defensive defenseman, breaks it up for New York and then makes a good play to McEwen. Now to Morrow. Now to John Tonelli. Tonelli couldn't clear it up. Now on the second try, he did. Here's Lafleur. Flips it into the Islander zone. Here's Acton in after it. A save on the short side by Smith. Kenny Morrow clearing one. Now Tonelli at center ice to Gilbert. Into the Montreal zone. Lafleur back-checking. Now to Acton. Here's Keith Acton in with shot. The shot, he scores! Keith Acton has just brought Montreal right back into the thick of this game. He seemed to surprise Billy Billy Smith with that quick wrist shot, didn't he?
I think that Billy Smith was expecting Acton to pass it over to Schutt. Acton made a very smart move by almost using Schutt as a decoy there. Acton can shoot the puck. He's got a good wrist shot. He's also got a good eye. But I don't think there's much question that Billy Smith was really trying to guess, as he oftentimes does, and he's oftentimes successful, but Schutt was the decoy.
So it's a 5-4 Islander lead as the Canadiens battle back. Puck shot in, and Gainey has it for Montreal. Gainey flips to center. Lane knocking that down. Wickenheiser checks. Now Wickenheiser flipping it through to Kozlowski, number 8. Flirted around on the boards, and Dennis Potvaz there. He's able to clear the zone. Jean Hamel, number 28, back for Montreal to Mark Hunter. Wickenheiser picking it up. Here's Wickenheiser, a good move. In across the line, Doug Wickenheiser shoots. He put it high off the glass. Now Gainey firing it around on the boards, and Bob Bourne has it for New York to Dwayne Sutter. He's bumped hard by Gainey, but shot it into the Montreal zone. Matt Naslund is there. Naslund to Tremblay. Now to Mondeau. Pierre Mondeau, a drop pass back. Here's Naslund. Back to Ludwig. Shooting, and he blasted it wide. Carlson held it in. Here's the chance for Mondeau. Pierre Mondeau. Backhander, and sliding in front of it was Langevin, the defenseman, to block it. Nystrom back for New York. Got it into the corner. Cleared away by Walmsley. Now Montreal able to flip it to center, and Dave Langevin goes back after it. Langevin to Persson, now to Nystrom, ahead to Mike Bossy. Bossy couldn't control the pass. And Ludwig fires to center, where Ryan Walter has it. To Ludwig. Over to Chabot. The rookie Chabot shoots. That's deflected wide. Walter in the corner. Ryan Walter back to the net to Mark Napier. In front, Bossy was there for New York. Bossy with a pass off the board, held in, but Bossy gets it again and shot it to center. Now Napier flipping it in for Montreal. Langevin back to get it. The Canadiens have some momentum going now as they've scored twice in a row. And Keller fires it down the ice for New York. Number 2. Olympic gold medal winning team. Stanley Cup rings all over the place. He is a winner.
Is he on a roll, do you think, Ken?
If you're going to Las Vegas, call that guy. Here's Mike Bossy for New York, coming right back. Bossy centers to Trottier. Now Bob Bourne with the puck. Comes back to McEwen at the point. That shot stopped. And then it's cleared by the Canadiens into the center ice area, but play is called back. The puck was hit with a high stick. The last scoring play, by the way. Acton, the goal scorer. Lafleur, the assist at the 6-minute mark. That's cut the Islander lead to 5-4. We mentioned earlier how hard it is to play catch-up against the Islanders. Well, Montreal have kind of disproved that theory here in the last few minutes.
The Canadian forwards have, as you had mentioned earlier, mounted an attack. I think they heard us criticize them for not really helping out their inexperienced defense that much. In the second period of play, they have certainly come on strong.
Here's the face-off coming up in the Montreal zone. Hunter now clearing it down into the Islander zone. Gord Lane back to get it. Lane clearing one. Gainey pinching in from that left defense point to hold it in. Gets help from Hunter. Knocked away from him by Tonelli, and now Hamel back for Montreal. Hamel to Gainey. Number 23, Bob Gainey with a rocket high off the glass. Tonelli cleared it on the board. Gillies checked by Gainey. Gainey to Wickenheiser. Now to Kozlowski. Kozlowski shoots one, and he Put it up high over the glass. How's Bob Gainey looked as a defenseman to you, Gary?
I've been very impressed with him, Dan. You know, the one thing that he does well is he makes the easy play. Take a look at right now, Mr. Greg Kozlowski, new face in the Montreal Canadiens lineup. Back to Gainey, though, Dan. You know, that's the type of hockey player he is. He's been that way as a defensive-minded forward who always makes the easy play. That's exactly what you want your defensemen to always do if they can. He's not the gambling type. He'll make the safe and easy play, and that's the one, as a coach, you want your guys to make the majority of the time.
Gainey is what I refer to as a good old-fashioned honest hockey player, night after night.
Is he ever? And talk about a class gentleman off the ice as well. There's a lot of charity work in the Peterborough area, my hometown area. Peterborough, Ontario, that is, Dan, not Peterborough, the United States.
Just where is it located? Give us the geographic location.
Come on, mid-Ontario, all the great hockey players that have come out of there.
And Gary Green used to coach the Peterborough Petes. So did Roger Nielsen. So did Scotty Bowman. Who else?
Roger Bedard.
Loose puck at the side of the Islander goal, Pierre Mondeau. Has it for Montreal. Into the corner to Naslund. Centers to Tremblay. Shot off the skate of Billy Smith. Brent Sutter trying to clear it. Montreal mounting some offense here in the third period. After trailing 5-2, they've cut the New York lead to 5-4. Now they look to tie it up. They won't on that rush because the Islanders shoot it down the ice. Ludwig back after it. Now the puck pinned in against the boards as Naslund tied up Brent Sutter. And we have a stoppage in play in the face-off outside the Montreal blue line.
9 minutes, 17 seconds remaining in this game. The Canadiens had the fourth best home record in the National Hockey League last year. Interesting stat as well. Their opening game record, 38 wins, 17 losses, and only 11 ties. Odds are with them even this evening.
They trail 5-4 at this point. Here's Robert Picard for Montreal. Over to Gilbert Delorme, shot center. That's knocked down and put scoring. Hands it for New York to Ken Morrow. Morrow flipping it into the Montreal zone. Picard is there. Shoots it on left wing to Walter, head manning to Napier. Mark Napier gets away from McEwen, centered but put scoring intercept. To Nystrom, back to Goring. Goring, number 91, gets it into the Montreal zone. Shot right back out by the Canadiens and picked up by Chabot, the rookie. John Chabot flipped it behind the net. McEwen is forechecked hard by Walter. Now Gilbert drops it to McEwen. He shot it but not out. Delorme from the point. Behind the goal. Napier got it in front, but this time put scoring intercept. He couldn't clear. Now Ken Morrow played it off the boards down the ice. It's on goal, so there's no icing. 8 minutes, 10 seconds left in regulation time. 5-4. Montreal leads. Gord Lane breaks up a Montreal rush and flips it in. Here's Trottier going in after it for New York. Trottier knocked down, and the Canadiens come back. Here's Lafleur breaking in on right wing. Shooting right on, and Smith makes a stick save. Lafleur showed some of that old speed. And now the puck is held on the board for a face-off in the New York zone. We have 7:42 left in regulation time. The Islanders lead 5-4.
The line. The line is low and long. The line is straight through a curve. The line is strong. The new line of Civics from Honda. The line is drawn.
Here you see our broadcast location at the Forum in Montreal. I guess, Gary, this is as good a spot to watch a hockey game as you'll find around the league.
Right at center ice, right above, you can sure see it all.
And we've seen a good game here on our opening regular season NHL telecast on USA. 5-4, the Islanders lead. And both these clubs don't look like it's the first game of the season at all.
No, they definitely don't. Both look in extremely good condition. We take a look at one player who is in excellent condition all year round, Mr. Trottier. The sad part about the unbalanced schedule, Dan, is the fact that Montreal Canadiens will only have the New York Islanders in this building tonight all season long unless they meet each other in playoffs.
Yeah, that's true. The Canadiens will pay a couple of visits to Long Island, but this is the only visit of the Islanders to the Forum. And it's in the Canadiens' home opener. Now the face-off has moved outside the blue line. Remember, if we're tied after 60 minutes of regulation time, a 5-minute sudden death overtime period. And we have that possibility because it is only a 1-goal difference. The Islanders lead 5-4. Here's Anders Keller to Brian Trottier, now to Bossy. Bossy in right wing, moving in, shoots, he scores! Mike Bossy has the hat trick. And the Islanders have a 6-4 lead. Bossy put that one right between the legs of the goaltender Walmsley.
Didn't he say he likes to find the 5-hole? Well, there it was, right there between the goaltender's pads. Walmsley coming a long ways out to try and cut down the angle, but watch the way that Bossy gets his head up, just takes a look quickly before he releases, right between the legs.
Mike Bossy's third of the night, is fourth of the year. Trottier gets an assist. Anders Keller gets the assist, and it's 6-4 for the Islanders. Here's Kozlowski into Wickenheiser, and that play goes offside. Bossy from Trottier and Keller at 12:39 of the third period. That scoring play.
Well, on the right of our screen there, we saw Gordy Lane, who's become a very good defensive defenseman over the course of a number of years now for this Islander Hockey Club, originally being in Washington before coming to the Islanders.
Here's Carlson for Montreal trying to shoot it in. Play is whistled down as the ruler was hit with a hand pass from one player to another, and we have a stoppage in play. The man in motion, John Tonelli. He must have slept until the middle of July the way he skated all through the playoffs.
Boy, he is just a bull out there in the ice, full of determination. Bowls down opposition players. I would hate to have to go up against him night after night in the Patrick division.
Yeah, you'd be black and blue and aching a little bit. He gives you everything he's got night after night and punishes the opposition because he's on top of you all the time.
He doesn't even, I don't believe, even look as to where he's going sometimes, Dan. He just tramples anything that's in sight. So determined to get there.
What's that? Shortest distance is a straight line. That's the way he plays. Here's Tonelli. On right wing to Gillies. Mark Gillies moves into the slot and blasted one wide. Now Hunter for Montreal into the center ice area to number 2, Carlson. The rookie defenseman, Kent Carlson, with a shot. Smith the save, bounced out in front. And there you see Smith alertly cover up on it and hold it for a faceoff.
Doug Wickenheiser, we just saw there to the left of our screen, hasn't really played that much in this evening's hockey game. You have to wonder whether perhaps they are considering a trade with some other club that will involve Wickenheiser. You remember a couple of years ago, he was their #1 draft choice. He just has not panned out very well. Got off to a tremendously fast start last year and then tapered off badly.
And there are all kinds of rumors about a possible trade, and Wickenheiser's name seems to pop up more than anyone else's. Here's Bork on the boards, or at least Bourne on the boards. Couldn't hold it in, and now a shot from the point. Caught by Smith, and he held onto it. The Islanders with the Sutter brothers up front and Bob Bourne. That's the line that was so prominent for them in the playoffs.
Oh, boy, were they ever. We can remember a lot of exciting occasions with that line. fine on the ice. You know, one thing about the Islanders, Dan, they frustrate you so often where they'll get within even that goal of them, but then, boom, they have got a little pressure on them, pop another one. There's a little lag right now in the offensive play of the Montreal Canadiens again.
That goal has kind of cooled things off if you're a Montreal fan. Here comes Wayne Sutter for New York. Long shot. Walmsley handles that. Crowd get on Walmsley a little bit after he let that last shot by Bossy get through. Now Bourne shoots, he scores! And Bob Bourne has apparently just sewn up this game for New York. That makes it 7-4. I don't think anybody tipped Bourne's shot, Gary.
No, I don't think so. I believe it was Brent Sutter that was in the crease. Well, I shouldn't say in the crease, on the side of the crease there, but I don't think that he touched it. It was a good, clean shot by the looks of it. Let's see again. Bourne winding up with that powerful drive of his. I think it went right over top of Walmsley's glove. Beautiful drive by Bourne. A lot of fans here in the Montreal Forum leaving their seats. Overtime seems lost.
Bourne does get the goal. Brent Sutter gets one of the assists. And the time is 13:59, and it makes it 7-4 New York. There you see Bob Bourne, who just scored the Islander goal.
After watching 100 games last year in the NHL, I'm not so sure with almost 6 minutes to go that I would leave any hockey game regardless of the score.
Good point. Here's Chabot coming right back, and he gets a chance, and Smith had to make a good save. Chabot behind the net. Now it's centered out in front. Smith cleared it away. Walter took a poke at it. And Dennis Potvin shoots it to the corner. Here's Potvin clearing it on right wing. Nystrom shoots it to center ice. And going back is Jean Hamel. Over onto the wing to Gainey. Gainey to Walter, to Chabot, the rookie. Back to Walter. Shot right on. Smith the save. Another shot by Walter. Smith stopped that. Walter didn't get good wood on either of his shots. The puck in behind the New York goal, and Butch scoring. Gives it to Gillies, who shoots it to center. Less than 5 minutes to play in regulation time. 7-4 now the Islanders lead. Gordy Lane to Nystrom at center. Bob Nystrom flips it in, and Jean Hamel is back for the Canadiens. Hugues Lafleur leaving it for Hamel. Now to Steve Shutt. Steve Shutt into the corner. Trying to center. Anders Keller knocks it down. Here's Atkin with a chance, and Smith kicked out his right pad to make a save there. For our local systems, we'll pause here. The National Hockey League is coming your way on USA.
We've had a running joke in our USA coverage over the past couple of seasons as a result of our guests here in the studio. It seems that whoever we have coming in as our guest, or most frequently, whoever we have coming in as our guest, scores a goal in the game. Well, tonight, Mike Bossy came into our second period intermission having scored a goal, and then went out and scored 2 more. And right now, he is proving to be our leading candidate for MVP of the game. And as usual, we'll be right back here in our studio to talk to one of the stars of the game. Right now, it looks like it'll be one of the Islanders.
Play underway now. 4 minutes, 20 seconds left in the third period as the Islanders, with a 3-goal lead, shoot it to center. Mike Bossy dropping it back to Pearson. Over to Langevin. Now his pass to Bossy. Bossy fires it in. Anders Keller gets the puck. And now Lafleur headmans to Walter. Or at least to Acton. Back to Lafleur. Intercepting it is Trottier. And there you see Trottier with his back-checking and his defensive ability again. And he has done that all evening long. Puck is now flipped up over the glass and into the crowd, and we'll have a face-off in the Montreal zone. Another of the Swedish imports on the Islanders, Anders Keller. The man on your screen right now, number 28.
He has always wore that face mask. I'm not so sure it's not a bad idea. The only concern that I have with those face masks, Dan, is the fact that they seem to be almost like a catcher's mask. And the fact that a lot of high sticks have sometimes found their way up and underneath of it. But Keller suffered an eye injury a number of years ago and seems to be much more confident wearing it.
Here's Mark Hunter for Montreal. He shoots it in. Now a jam up on the boards, and the Canadiens force a face-off in the New York zone. And we're down to 3:34 left in the third period of this game. There you see Clark Gillies. They tell me he came into camp in tremendous shape, ready for this season.
I was just going to say, Dan, again, that whole line of Kennelly, Gilbert, and Gillies, talk about three left wingers out there that have really got the bumping and grinding style with them. They could really give you a great deal of trouble. And, of course, this guy, Mr. Trottier, gives you trouble each and every time he's out on the ice.
They just sent him out right here to get this face-off in the Islander zone. Wickenheiser's tossed out. He'll take it against Hunter. Trottier gets the draw, and Billy Smith clears it out on the wing. Kennelly couldn't control it. Now the Islanders have trouble clearing the puck. Here's Doug Wickenheiser. Wickenheiser tied up on the play. Puck centered out in front. Kozlowski knocked down. And then Trottier flips it to Kennelly. Ahead to Gillies, to Brian Trottier. Trottier. Over to McEwen. Back to Trottier. He just flips it in and heads for the Islander bench, does Brian Trottier. Now Ken Morrow for New York. Less than 3 minutes to play. The Islanders with a 7-4 lead. Loose puck at center. Now McEwen shoots it away. Delorme, number 27, back for Montreal, over to Picard. He's checked, and now Delorme flips one, and it bounces over the boards right at the Montreal bench. Let's see what else has happened in the NHL tonight, and Al Trudwick.
Well, Dan, the season's just beginning, but the game is over at the Spectrum in Philadelphia. The final score, the Philadelphia Flyers 4 and the Washington Capitals 1. Carson Clark and the newly returned Rick McLeish scoring for Philadelphia. One other goal. We'll give it to you if we get it. Third period, Boston leads Quebec by a score of 6-2 now. The Bruins looking to win their first game of the NHL season.
By the way, we'll see that Washington Capital team, the big story of last year in the NHL. They play in our next USA game next Thursday night at Madison Square Garden against the Rangers of Herb Brooks, 7:30 Eastern Time for the Capitals and the Rangers next Thursday on USA. Here's Hamel shooting one around on the boards. Puck cleared by Naslund into the New York zone, and Dennis Potvin back to get it. Potvin cleared it near the Montreal line. Not much life in that Montreal club right now, Gary.
I think they pretty much know, down 7-4 with only 2 minutes to go in the game, Dan, 2 minutes and 10 seconds, that there's not much hope whatsoever that they're going to pull this one out. They were up against a tough team tonight. Not much tougher can you get than starting it off against the 4-time Stanley Cup winners. You know, it's going to be an interesting year. I know Bob Berry thinks that way. He thinks his club has got an opportunity. I had said earlier tonight that I thought the Islanders were a pretty safe bet to be right back in there and possibly win the Stanley Cup again. Edmonton Oilers are going to have something to say about that. I saw them play last night. Didn't get off to a great start in the first period. Great second and third period, however. They're going to be back there. Who knows? Chicago, Buffalo, Boston. It'll be an interesting season.
Here's Nystrom in the shot. Walmsley made a stick save and then covered up on it. And we'll have another face-off in the Montreal zone. 2:06 now left to play. The Islanders have been led tonight by Mike Bossy, who gets the hat trick. Other Islander goals in this game from Brian Trottier, from Greg Gilbert, from Bob Nystrom, and Bob Bourne. The Montreal goals from the rookie Chabot, from Lafleur, and from Mark Hunter and Keith Acton. 7-4. The Islanders lead as the Canadiens have trouble moving out of their own zone against the Islanders forechecking. Now they do get it to center, but Greg Gilbert had it tied up there, and it's taken by Stephen Pearson. Flipped in. Hamel knocking that down. Now Goring upended. Here's a chance for Gilbert. And Ryan Walter comes back for Montreal. To Napier. Mark Napier lets the shot go into the corner. Puck is held along the boards. Into the center ice area. Bob Gainey gets it back in for Montreal, and it's taken by Dave Langevin. Over to Stepan Pearson. Pearson to Goring. Goring to center ice on right wing, moving in. Puts Goring into Nystrom. Nystrom trying to center, and Craig Ludwig intercepts that. We're in the final minute of this game. 7-4, the Islanders lead. Here's Chabot flipping it in for Montreal, and Mike McEwen back for New York, checked by Lafleur. Now Mike Bossy, the hat-trick man for the Islanders tonight. To McEwen, back to Bossy. He moves smartly out of the zone to Trottier. Trottier giving it to Anders Keller. Into the corner to Mike Bossy. Good play back to Keller. Keller tried to make a play. Drops it back, but Steve Shutt intercepts. Shoots it to center, and we're down to 20 seconds left. And the Islanders are going to even their record at 1-1. And the Canadiens are going to start off on opening night by losing their home opener. McEwen to Morrow. Shot to center. Picked up by Bossy. 4 seconds left in the game to Trottier. Backhand, Walmsley the save. And the buzzer goes to end this game. And the New York Islanders defeat the Montreal Canadiens 7-4 as you look at Billy Smith being congratulated by his teammates. Shots on goal in the game favor the Islanders by a margin of 39-33. Coming up, you'll meet our USA MVP of our opening night telecast here at the Forum in Montreal. The final score, the Islanders 7, Montreal 4. We'll return with more right after this.
It's an evening with the knockout artists on the next edition of USA's Friday Night Boxing at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific, tomorrow.
Valuable tools, the latest technology, bargains on magazines, and records you won't find anywhere else. All this and more through the USA Network and the one-stop shopping convenience of 1-800-USA-1000. Great values without leaving home. Watch USA, then dial 1-800-USA-1000.
Of the best-selling motor oils today, 14 now save gas. But only one saves gas. Offers cold weather starting down to 35 degrees below zero. And the best engine protection under extreme heat. In fact, the best engine protection you can give your car. Only one. Mobile One.
In the West, where Levi Strauss & Company began, how clothes feel has always been just as important as how they look. That's why Levi's Action Jeans have both an easy care fabric that gives and a fit that offers a skosh more room. It's a level of comfort that's attracting more men every day. Levi's Action Jeans, a real comfort from Levi's menswear.
Trevor Howard and Ralph Richardson star in Joseph Conrad's South Seas tale of passion and despair.
You came and dumped me in this river like a load of rubbish.
It's the powerful drama, Outcast of the Islands, on the USA Movie at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific on USA next Tuesday.
USA serves up the bright spots of tennis in the semifinals and finals of All-American Tennis on USA Saturday and Sunday. Following hockey, stay with us here on USA for sports, suspense, and music. At 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific time, it's winning golf tips from the pros to help you stay on par. Then at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, a publisher finds himself listening to a murder on tape. Is it fact or fiction, real or Memorex? James Mason and Angie Dickinson star on the Alfred Hitchcock Hour. Then at midnight Eastern, 9 p.m. Pacific, Radio 1990 has an update on Paul Weller of The Jam and his new group, The Style Council. It's all coming your way later, right here on USA. But before we do that, we've got lots more to talk about here at the Forum in Montreal, where the final score is the New York Islanders 7 and the Montreal Canadiens 4. It was 1-0 after 1, 4-2 Islanders after 2. Here's what happened in the third. Mike Bossy scored his second goal of the game to make it 5-2, assisted by Gord Lane and Brian Trottier at 1:02. At 2:46, it was Mark Hunter scoring for Montreal from Greg Poplawski. Then at 6 minutes, Guy Lafleur brought them back to within 1 goal, 5-4. Keith Acton got the goal off the 4 assists. At 12:39, Mike Bossy registered the hat trick. it was the Islanders leading 6-4. The assists went to Trottier and Keller. And then at 13:59, Brent Sutter fed Bobby Bourne on a brilliant goal. 7-4 was the final, and that's where they wrapped up the scoring in the third period. Now, Mike, is there anything we didn't talk about in between periods 2 and 3 that happened in the third period? I thought the Islanders, again, were challenged by Montreal and came back nicely.
Well, we were challenged, but I think that we remember the last game in Quebec where we sort of fell apart in the third period, and we had that little lapse in the second period tonight, and again in the third for a little while, but we were able to come back. You know, it's only the second game of the year, and guys are still trying to find themselves out there, and, you know, but I have a lot of faith in the spirit of the team, the desire to win, and, you know, we're very motivated this year, so I'm very pleased that we were able to come out with a win tonight.
Well, it has to be very encouraging considering how Montreal wanted to win this game under the new regime as badly as they did. Let's go back now and take a look at Mike Bossy's hat trick as it occurred here at the Forum tonight. We'll begin with a goal in the second period. Dennis Potvin and John Tonelli at 16:02. We saw it before. We'll see it again.
Well, this is where Dennis made a heck of a play because he put it through two people there to give it to me. And the puck was rolling, as you can see. That's why I waited a little bit till it came down, and then the goalie sort of went down on a play and it went under him.
This was Mike Bossy's second goal. That was in the third period. This time it was Gord Lane and Brian Trottier on the assist.
Here, Gord Lane kept the puck in on a good play. Brian gave it to me, and I was just cruising in from the blue line, and I got everything on that.
Good target shooting that time. Mike Bossy registered the hat trick and made it 6-4. Again, an assist from Brian Trottier. Add one to Anders Keller at 12:39.
A good play by Anders to get the puck out. Brian headman in the puck, and this one found its way through his legs again off the post and in.
Now, I want you to answer me something. As we watch the replay and as we watch you play, we see you look up just for a brief second. You look at Walmsley, and then you shoot it right between his legs. Are you trying to shoot it between his legs?
Well, on the first goal I was, the second one and the third one, I just want to get the puck on net and low, because I know that on the last two that I scored, he was coming out of his net, and when a goalie's moving forward on a play, he really has trouble moving his feet in a time like that. So if you can get the puck on the ice, I feel I have a much better chance of scoring.
I guess what I'm asking is how accurate do you expect your shots to be?
Well, I expect to hit the 4 feet width of the goal. That's as long as I'm getting the puck on net, I feel I have a good chance of putting it in.
Mike, let's talk about the Montreal Canadiens a little bit. You've played them now a game, and while you said this is only their first game of the season, your second. The fans here will not be very patient. Under the new front office regime, while they didn't make many roster changes, they have some new young players, and we don't know what to expect from them. The fans want to see some results, and they want to see them quickly. Do you notice a sense of change in the Canadiens' attitude on the ice?
Well, I think even though it was the first game, you can notice a change in the fans. I mean, the score was 6-4, and there was still 6.5, 7 minutes left, and there were fans filing out of the building. And that's very uncommon for me to see in Montreal. And, you know, it's obvious that they will be impatient because of what has happened in the last 3 or 4 years. They haven't made it past the preliminaries. And with all the front office changes, they really haven't changed that much on the ice. That's what worries me. They have some new players, but, you know, I think the fans are expecting a big change. They want they don't want to gradually get back into the thick of things. They want to get up there quick because they've been. I mean, they're spoiled. They've had championship teams galore here, and you know, I don't think that they'll stand for losing that much.
Speaking of spoiled, those folks in Uniondale tend to be a little spoiled at times. How do you plan on keeping them from booing you as they did at times last year, unbelievably?
Well, I think that all depends on the way we play. You know, no matter how fickle fans are or how spoiled they may get, they have a lot of reason to be spoiled now. We've won 4 Stanley Cups in a row, and
you made your bed. Now you have to lie.
Well, they expect the best from us, and we expect the best from ourselves, and there's no reason why we should go out there and you know, give half an effort. I think as long as the fans see that we're working, we're giving 100% every game. You know, they might get impatient, they might get frustrated if things aren't going that well for us, but I think what we need to do is just to go out there and give 100% effort all the time.
Mike, thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Mike Bossy of the New York Islanders. The Islanders realizing quickly in this regular season how easy it is to erase a bad game with a good game as they played here in Montreal tonight. Back we go for final comments to Dan Kelly and Gary Green. Gentlemen?
For Mike Bossy, career hat trick number 25 in regular season play. He's some kind of a player, Gary Green.
Too bad he doesn't know how to shoot, eh, Dan? He talks to us in the intermission about picking that 5-hole. He goes out and picks the 5-hole for us just to give us an example. What a tremendous hockey player.
What were your thoughts overall on the Islanders and then on Montreal?
They don't look like it's their second game of the National Hockey League season by any means. I thought they played with a great deal of poise out there. The Islanders of old, and I don't see anything that's going to stop them from ending up right back in the finals again this year, Dan. Montreal, on the other hand, I think they're going to have a tough season, not just because of tonight's play, but they've got a lot of new faces in that lineup. But guys like Lafleur and Schott, let's face it, they're not getting any younger and they're not getting any faster.
I thought one of the better Montreal players was the youngster Chabot.
I did too. I really liked him out there. We talked about the fact that he was a playmaker because of all the assists, obviously, he's gotten over the course of his career, short as it may be. But I think that he proved out there tonight that he is a playmaker. Made a lot of good key plays. Montreal just couldn't finish off often enough.
Gary Green, good to be back with you again this year on USA, and even nice to be back with Al Trudwick.
It's only the first game, but before this is all over, we'll be on a first-name basis with a bunch of airline flight attendants. You can be sure of that. Next Thursday, we'll be back on USA, but for now, that's the story from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Tonight's game has been brought to you by Light Beer from Miller. Everything you've always wanted in a beer and less. By Mobil 1, synthetic motor oil. You can't get better engine protection. By Toyota, who reminds you it's a good feeling to buckle up for safety. And by Levi's Action Slacks and Action Jeans. Don't forget, we'll be back with more great NHL hockey next Thursday night from Madison Square Garden in New York as the Washington Capitals take on the New York Rangers. Game time is set for 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, right here on USA. But for now, that's the story from the Forum in Montreal. For Dan Kelly and Gary Green, I'm Al Trudwick. The executive producer for USA Sports is Jim Drake. Our producer is Mark D. Stolberger. Tonight's game directed by James Alexander. Our associate producer, Tim Rapley.